Yeah, I counted to 3. There you go.
Cool. There we go. So we are live. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's hey. At least this time I don't have my own voice going in my ear, so that's good. Everyone, welcome to Friday Night Six Pack, where you get to see. Well, not, it's only really two drunken Aussies try and talk sense to people today, but you know what, me and Sam, I think between us we can do it. Big shout out to both Jay and Jen, who are a bit under the weather today, so hope you're both feeling better soon. Cool. So this is going to be a fun one because we've got some people on today that I've actually been wanting to get on for a while, and it was just through sort of coincidence and connecting on Twitter that we actually got talking, and I sort of went, hey, we've got to get you guys on, and they were keen, and everything just kind of worked out. So Nathaniel and Susan from Disbelief, first of all, welcome to the show. How are we doing?
I have 2 cups of coffee in my Yeti right now.
Yeah,
It is
good morning.
4:30 in the morning here.
Good morning.
Yeah, so just to be clear, it's 4:30, and the big question is, did you wake up for this, or have you not been to bed yet?
We woke up for this.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
I didn't.
Yeah, he didn't sleep
That's
a lot.
extra impressive.
Yeah, I
He
don't
didn't
think I slept very much.
No.
I was no. You kept me up talking to this dude who wanted to know whether or not you believe Jesus existed, and I was like, motherfucker.
Oh yeah, that was a fun conversation.
Yeah, he didn't understand what you were
was-
saying.
Yeah, it was. He was ducking the question, but anyway, that's.
He didn't want to give the
we'll get into that.
definition.
No, it's just like, are we talking Jesus the person or the divine Son of God?
Yeah,
Why does
that's
it
funny.
matter? Well, so we know what we're talking about. Anyway, Sam, how you doing, man?
Good, not too bad. Another week down, another week closer, hopefully, to going out and seeing the sun again. But yeah, good.
I had to walk outside, and there was this strange sort of shining hot orb that hit me. I wasn't used to it, so it was like, what's it doing to me? You know, it destroys vampires and atheists apparently. What are you drinking, Sam? What do you want, mate?
So today, we actually went to a local business last week and we picked up a bunch of different stuff. So at the moment, I'm drinking Event Horizon Porter, which is a porter that is basically, it's made in spiced rum barrels, and I believe has notes of chocolate and vanilla and a few other bits and pieces. I'm not a beer drinker, but I will experiment with fun stuff like this. So
I was going to say, it almost sounds too fancy to be a beer.
well, it's it gets brewed within maybe a kilometre of my house, so living local, it's good.
Excellent.
I had a really nice ginger beard, which was a type of ginger beer, but I've already drunk all that, so
Well, it's always good. You know when they go first, that's always a good sign. Manda, Mama Atheist, how the heck are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, it's I'm doing great. And you're one of those other early birds. So it's 4:30 in the morning for Nathaniel and Susan. What time is it for you?
It's 7:30 here.
East Coast.
So you're on the more convenient side for a Friday night six pack.
Yeah, we actually, us Americans, outnumber you guys this time.
Yeah, sort of.
I was only
Maybe.
2 screens from America. There's 3 people but 2 screens, and there's still 2 screens from
Yeah.
Australia.
So
Oh, it's the way. God damn it.
and we do have of course Mathpig with us as well, who's from Northern Ireland, which is part of the Commonwealth. So
Yeah.
I'm going to count that.
I would be closer to an Australian than a USA and American, but
That's from the Queen.
You don't want to be an American right now anyway.
No, you really don't.
No.
Nope.
I don't say this as a slight, but I've never wanted to be an American, to be fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
Always wanted to
totally
visit.
valid.
Always wanted to visit,
Yeah.
but
Not me one.
it's-
well, it's officially a worldwide 6-pack tonight. If we're going from you, across me, East Coast, West Coast, it's truly worldwide tonight.
We've kind of got most of the
It's
time
insane.
zones covered. It's
Yeah.
It's the
international
saying
tonight.
the sun never sets on 6-pack.
Ooh, I like it. Ooh, very
Dig
good.
it.
We're gonna. Yeah, I've got the next tag for next week's show. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well. And man, surviving the lockdown okay?
You surviving?
Oh yeah, getting past. I've got the garden done. I've been doing a lot of tidying up outside and things like that, which is funny. I read in the Belfast Live this morning on Twitter that the Action and Emergency Department in Belfast has had a massive shoot up from people with DIY accidents because everybody's at home attempting stuff and there's no workers to come out and help them, losing fingers and this, that, and the other. So yeah, everybody's in the DIY mode.
the drunks they've normally got to deal with in the hospitals on a Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it, man. Now you can get drunk during the day while you're up a ladder on the roof because you've no work tomorrow.
It is.
Well,
it is
that's true.
Ireland, so
It is very easy to drink midweek at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, well, I'm starting small this morning. I'm on the cider. It's only 4%, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, you didn't ask me what I was drinking. How fucking rude is that?
You said you were
I was
drinking
going
coffee,
to get to
No,
that.
I didn't.
No.
You asked
Miss-
him what he was drinking.
Is this where I kick Amanda now?
Yeah, that'll do. So the good
She's
thing
like,
about
I'm used to
MathPig
it at this
controlling.
point.
Good thing about MathPig controlling everything is MathPig is known to kick people when they misbehave. So so expect to see less of Amanda.
Don't talk shit about me.
Case in point. Case in point.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
Amanda, what are you drinking?
Shitty beer. It's Youngling, but I got it at the pharmacy because
Well, that's okay. Well, look, we normally do have at least one American drinking shitty beer on the show. It's normally Jay with his.
usually Jay.
So it's good to see that, that you're flying the flag there for Jay. And
at least,
and
mine's
MathPig,
in a glass bottle, so that's something, right?
But you got beer in plastic.
I got the tinny myself, but what are you on, MathPig, tonight? What are you drinking?
I had the Strongbow. That's the dark fruits.
Nice.
Cider.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Uh,
And I'm drinking Mountain Goat.
that's
Summer
That's a
ale.
band.
What was I drinking yesterday? I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like I
One
just
of
had
the
it a
W's.
couple of hours ago. What is that?
That one.
Yeah, it's over there.
I don't know.
Because I didn't finish it. It's still over there next to
It's
it.
on the table.
Well, it's
So
like,
you-
oh shit, we got to be up in 3 hours. So.
You know what you do? You tip it out, give it a bit of a wash, and put the coffee in there. No one will know.
not that Pacific Northwest IPA. Doesn't go. It's yeah, I get some hops in your beer, in your coffee.
coffee.
Not my style.
Yeah.
Hot coffee.
Well, you don't know.
It's like a rabbit.
Call it hoppy.
Good word.
Coffee.
So, guys, tell us a little bit. Obviously, I'm familiar with your show and what it is that you guys do. But for those who aren't watching, who are you and what do you do?
Who is your dad and what does he do?
You got a different I like that.
Yes. So we are Divine Disbelief. We usually are on guest appearances together. I've noticed that, so it's always a great time to do that. We have like sometimes one half of, and we actually had that with Digital Hammurabi when only Dr. Josh was able to make it. So that's kind of us now. Our show usually is weekly. We've been moving a little bit recently, and so it's been a little bit more spotty. But usually, what we do is every Wednesday morning for you. I don't know. It's Wednesday evening here, and apparently, time zones are different.
Thursday morning.
Okay.
Actually, Wednesday evening, that's Thursday lunchtime.
Oh.
See?
Yeah, 'cause
I
it's
learned.
like 5:30 p.m. our time.
And our show
That's 17 hours.
currently goes over secular news and opinion, and we do not book reviews, but book recommendations. We're actually getting into book reviews. We also have a segment we've started called Deep Dive, where we go into subjects that folks may not know a lot about or have like a passing knowledge of. Last week, you went into conversion therapy.
That was a heavy topic.
Yeah, and she's done like all the really heavy topics, and I've just been like, here, let me tell you about the Gospel of Peter, which is so,
Yeah, when you say you went into conversion therapy, I'm assuming you discussed it.
yes,
Right,
yeah,
right,
deep
yeah.
dive.
Because I was
She,
going to say that'd be an
No.
interesting video.
she went there by herself, and nobody had to force her to do that. So,
Yeah.
which is the opposite of how
That's
that
the
actually
opposite
goes.
of how it
Yeah,
goes.
that's not how it works then, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. I did one on Paula White, one of
Yeah.
the spiritual advisors to President Trump, prosperity gospel
Ah, yeah.
preacher.
Yeah.
Did one on
Oh,
her and how
she's got crazy eyes, doesn't she?
she does. She
She's
is
got
fruit bat crackers. Not
She
I mean,
got-
we're not talking Kenneth Copeland crazy, but
Yeah, she's got eyes for Benny Hinn. We know that. And we are now also expanding our show a little bit. We have a premiere coming up as soon as we can get some of the stuff back from some of the folks that are recording some things from us who promised us they'd give it to us. And
throwing shade.
where we're
right now.
getting in and doing like some premieres, like some response stuff to some really bad scholarship, usually from apologetics folks, but a little bit different than what we currently see from other channels. We're trying to do that, stay unique, And then also we have a book club type thing. You named it. What's it called?
Secular Literary Circle.
Yep. I don't name things.
Excellent.
And
So what's the one book you're going to recommend at the moment then? If we had to pick something up while we're all kind of stuck at home, what would you say? What do we read?
Do you have the copy of Founding Myth there?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, I don't know how well this will work for you guys in Australia.
Because it's a book called The Founding Myth: Why Christian Nationalism is Un-American.
Yeah. It's by
One that Greg Locke burned, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah. This is by our buddy Andrew Seidel.
I love Andrew Seidel. He's one of my favorite people in the world.
Do recommend.
My favorite, but Andrew Seidel is one of them.
Yeah. So whenever anybody tries to say that America's founded on Christianity and all that bullshit,
Judeo-Christian principles.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, we know that, but we also are honest people.
That whole Judeo. We get that here sometimes. That whole Judeo-Christian principles. I'm like, have you actually read the Old Testament? Do you know what those Judeo-Christian principles are? I mean.
Yeah, they're pretty
of course,
shitty.
It should be noted, and Andrew actually does a good job noting this, like in the first 2 pages or something, that there's nothing Judeo about that shit. Yeah. They think they like Jewish people. They don't.
They don't like Jewish
They are.
They think they like Jewish people.
Yeah. Well, they claim to do it. They walk around like, no, it's Judeo-Christian. Oh yeah, where's Israel? But it's the same people, these Judeo-Christian pricks that also say the Holocaust didn't happen and shit. They're all Christians.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in all fairness, I did see a video where an Australian comedian walked around asking Americans if they could point to England on a map, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I was going to say I couldn't point it out.
I know who that is. Yeah, I like him. Also, no, we can't for the most part. The president doesn't know where Russia is, and that's where he gets his orders from. So.
I was going to say, he's been there a few times. You'd think so.
Yeah, you would.
You would
I mean, statistically, you've got a pretty good chance of picking it too.
They probably still come through in a fax machine. He is that behind the times.
Yeah.
So you're not going to recommend The Art of the Deal anytime as a book to read, I'm assuming?
It is actually a really good book. Which is how you can tell he didn't write it.
That's right.
Oh no, he definitely didn't write it.
No, it is a good book. He doesn't follow it at all.
No.
Which is kind of funny. That one, and most of the books that I read though are fairly academic. I
don't read those books.
Yeah, I get forgery and counter forgery. Basically, the polemics and the pseudepigraphica that happens in basically early Christianity and how we can figure it out and point it out. And I actually was able to use that the other day, and I showed her where I found something in Josephus, which was pseudepigraphical. So that was really cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I was going to say you seem to have an interesting dynamic, and I don't want to word this bad, but you seem to be very much the facts and figures and the deep dive into the knowledge. And and Susan,
I'm the creativity of it. I guess.
She actually makes the stuff, all the graphics. We actually had somebody that helped to make the first one, but all the graphics, the name of the show, I was trying to make it something that was JFC, so people look at it and be like, Jesus fucking Christ. But she made the great the name, like this video coming up. She makes all the graphics and stuff.
Do the animations for the video.
And then whenever we go live, I fuck up the production. So
I'm trying to help us figure things out beforehand so we don't end up half an hour late.
Yeah.
But that being said, you go right into you do deep dive, like you were saying, deep dive into stuff. So the conversion therapy. What were your thoughts on, I guess, diving into that? Because that's a real fairly intense topic.
Yeah, why did you choose that one? I never asked you that.
Well, because I was the treasurer for the Texas Democratic Secular Caucus for about a year and a half, 2 years almost. And one of their big focuses was on, banning conversion therapy, and specifically banning conversion therapy from minors, because a good majority of the time, it's minors that are having to go through conversion therapy. And we've circulated petitions and staged protests and stuff like that. I say we because I'm not in Texas anymore, but still. So it's always been something that I've peripherally known about, and that's sort of what I aim, is stuff that you peripherally know about but still has an effect on on our culture as a whole, like the entirety of our culture, because so much of what happens with religion, and really specifically Christianity, especially in America, affects, just directly affects, so much of everyday life, and conversion therapy, with LGBTQ plus people having to go through it. And it was so infuriating reading some of the stuff that proponents of conversion therapy were saying. They call it like reparative therapy, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you keep on using those words, and I don't think they mean what you think they mean.
Keep on using that word. I don't think that word means what you think they mean.
No, I definitely don't think.
Yeah.
It's to throw to you, Sam, because obviously you come from probably a similar background to me. I know I did see probably a fairly light version of conversion therapy in my time in the church. How about yourself? Did you see much of that?
We definitely had pastors that, or visiting preachers, I should say, that their testimonials were based on the fact that they had gone through conversion therapy. There was at least one or two I distinctly remember up here in Brisbane. So like there was definitely that strong message, even in the day-to-day, that homosexuality was unnatural, sinful, and something that needed to be fixed through prayer, repentance, healing, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, it was a pretty day-to-day occurrence, teaching theology thing at the church when I was younger. So
did you ever notice how the church leaders that claimed that they had gone through it and were recovered always seemed to be the ones that you were sort of like, nah, you're still very much that way inclined. They go into this whole denial sort of thing more than anything. It's like keeping up appearances.
I think it was really hard to tell for myself, but part of it is because particularly like Christianity that is fundamental, and like the AOG Pentecostal Christianity, where sex is basically neutered, to borrow a term, I suppose. Like adults are really infantilized. Like, you lose all your sexuality because that's sinful. And so it's really hard to distinguish between like just what's the best way to describe it? Like, just adults that don't act like they're adults. And so they lose that part of them. So, well, yes, like from the outside, maybe it's easy to go, oh, look, that guy's clearly, what do you call it? Like suppressing something, and hey, there's some clues here and there, which you can see afterwards. But in it, all sexuality is sort of demonized. And so, it's easy.
It kind of makes them very regressive, like regress back to a certain time when it was like, well, sexuality isn't necessarily a part of my life like it is when you're an adult. Yeah. So they like regress to this, much younger age and mindset and stuff.
Yeah. Your birthday parties stay about the same from when you turn 12 until when you get married. Like that's kind of the level.
Yeah, I've got to say I went to some pretty lame birthdays.
Oh my god,
my Christian days. Holy,
I still act like I'm 12, but I was a cool 12-year-old.
Yeah, yours aren't the same. Well, one thing to say with that too is that it's not even biblical, their idea of sexuality. Not even in the slightest is it. And I think that's, of course, they would say that Paul wrote all the books that are purported to have been written by him, but
well, 7 out of 13 at least anyway.
Yeah, and so when we get into that type of stuff, we actually get into the real scholarship. We find out that people don't actually have any idea because they're just really kind of saying what they've been told, which is usually little snippets here and there, and which is also not just taken out of context, but translated incorrectly, but also deliberately misinterpreted so as to send a message. And those are actually some of the things the reason that, focusing on some of that in the deep dives, but also with some of the other ones we've done to show this is where this actually began in Christianity. It did not begin with Jesus. Yeah. This was not an idea. And then where now it's morphed into some of this stuff where it's like, oh, it's okay to be rich and to bilk people out of money because Jesus would be okay with that.
Yeah,
and that's the Paula White
bullshit. No, the whole prosperity gospel, that's just like, it's, I don't even know where that comes in. It's like,
the hermeneutics tools that they use these days, at least the way I learned it from the people that were around me, and like I'm talking about 15 to 20 years ago now, holy crap. But like the idea is that, you'll think of something and you'll think, oh, that sounds like really cool. And you'll go to the Bible and you'll pick the one verse that tells that story, that tells that message, and then you'll build that up as if that's something that's been gifted to you by the Holy Ghost, and all of a sudden that becomes a teaching of the church, becomes accepted. And that's how I think some of these misrepresented or mistranslated or misunderstood parts of the Bible became so intrinsic to the message that there is today. Like, we talk about sexuality and chastity and purity culture, and just that one message from Jesus where, if you think of a woman, if you think of having sex with her, then you've committed adultery, and it's better to pluck out your eye than to go to hell. And that one thing becomes this entire theological framework. Yeah, and that's the basis for so many of these really toxic ideas in Christianity, because they just cherry pick things out of context, and then all of a sudden you've got this really highly developed standpoint that's based on nothing.
Jack
really.
shit.
Yeah, it's nothing Jesus never actually said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So throw up to you, Mathpig. Obviously, you've got a very different sort of probably background. You're more, I guess, your religious background's more like an identity rather than actually.
Yeah, well, in this country it goes that way. Like, but my religious background personally, I left when I was about 11, but because it was so, not ingrained in me, but it's what I did before that. I was considering becoming a junior soldier with the Salvation Army 3 and 4 times a week. As you do when you're at that age and you get involved with it. So it always did stay with me, and the conversation and the questions, the philosophy of the whole idea, it never left me. And funny story, a fucking cow just walked up past the window. Somebody's not keeping an eye on their animals today. Okay. But yeah, sorry about that. It's just something I've always had an interest in. I like having the conversations, and when you get down to the hard questions, it always just boils down to the same sort of 3 or 4 topics, the same sort of things that people end up talking about. And in Ireland, whenever we all get drunk at about 5 a.m, the God conversation always does come out, so it doesn't go away.
Oh, that happens everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
That's true.
That happens everywhere. It's back in my religious days, it was normally I'd have a few drinks with someone, and then the drunken conversions are always fun. But now I sort of get the opposite. Now that everyone knows I'm an atheist, they all want to try and drunken convert me. So it's even the ones who I don't think are particularly religious.
That's what we would call karma, I guess, even though we don't really believe in karma. So.
Oh, maybe maybe there is a God, and God's just really having a good chuckle and just going, got these ones. So.
It was in his divine plan, obviously.
Yeah.
Of course,
It's funny how Mathpig mentioned doing the Junior Salvation Army stuff, because I totally had forgotten. I went to an Episcopalian church pretty much from the time I was born until I was about 13. I was an acolyte. Like, I was basically an altar server.
Did I know
from
that?
11. No, because I forgot about it until now.
Didn't have to even get her drunk to start telling me.
I know, it's the sleepiness.
I didn't even know this.
So now this is what happens when you've got Aussies drinking around you. It kind of naturally will run like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was basically an altar server from 11 until 13, until I started going to a Methodist church.
Huh.
Which
Yeah, I was
a weird transition.
I grew up in a Catholic church, and I was an altar server as well. So
Episcopalian's just Catholicism light, so
I still have my
from the sounds of it. What we need to do. Oh, that's a well-read Bible. Actually, it was funny today as we were doing a bit of a clean out around the house. Lissy Lou found her old Bible from back in the church day. And I jokingly said, and she's sort of flicking through it, and I jokingly said, "Oh, you'll have to go and find all those little bits you underlined and highlighted." And she sort of said, "I didn't do that." And as she's flicking through, she's gone, "Oh, I did." And we were absolutely having a laugh at some of the stuff that she had there, and we only found some of it. There was a lot of Psalms that she liked back in the days. Samuel 22 got a run, so that was good. There was a little bit of the happy Old Testament stuff, Mind you, she hadn't underlined any of the rules on how to keep your slaves, or that once a month women need to go and stand outside the city gate. So,
for like 2 weeks.
Like, because you're unclean.
Exactly, just like all the swine and all that, and well, I guess women were property back in those days, so it made sense.
Chattel. Term is chattel.
Chattel. Sorry, yes.
Oh yeah.
Correct Hebrew terminology there. Good job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
got
go
my old Bible college stuff recently. My grandma, she's been like, I think she's in that phase where she was like packing everything that she has that might be of interest to other people just because that part of her life. And yeah, she delivered a box, or I picked up a box, I should say. And it's got all my old Bible college textbooks and notebooks and workbooks and stuff. Like, photos, which
Oh,
stick up
I
in
feel
the
like
at me.
you want those.
Yeah.
Sam, I
Nathaniel just looked
I know
very
what the next
interested.
6-pack is.
I'll see what I can do. It's a smaller
Well,
part.
I did the Angry Atheist thing, and I had like all these like really good books on religion and stuff, and I've become the atheist, and I sort of said, I can give them away to someone. I'm like, no, I'm going to throw them out because it's all garbage, and then about 2 months later, I'm like, why did I do that? Like, we're talking thousands of dollars worth of books and stuff that I could really use now. I'm including some really like a really nice, like bound archaeological Bible and study Bibles and all these books and that dig right into things. I'm just like, why did I do that?
I think it's
Why
a
did we
matter
do
of like purging. I you guys know, most of you know my story. I never really believed in God, so I can't totally attest to this. But a lot of people that were very religious, but then find that they aren't anymore, or decide to be, or feel that they're atheists, just feel like they have to clean themselves of it, So I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got,
absolutely.
Let's see, how many apologetics books do you think I have?
A lot.
I think I probably have more of those than I do of academic books.
Everything
And I
else
have-
that we have.
Yeah,
I like the distinction there.
I'm glad
yeah,
you separated those.
Well, so now I'm pursuing a higher degree, and so I already have a degree from college, but it has nothing to do with this. And so I'm pursuing a higher degree now and trying to figure all that out. So thank you very much, pandemic, for fucking that up. And I'm gonna have to go to like a theological seminary, or I'm gonna have to go to some like school of divinity because it's gonna have to do with like the history of Christianity and stuff. And
Are we allowed to have sex while you're doing that?
yeah,
Like in the middle of it.
like,
Yes.
like while I'm in class, if you want to.
Not an invigilated test.
And so the difference for me, of course, is that they're all going to be like 18,
Yeah.
and
You can be
and
like 20 years
I'm gonna
old.
go, and most of them I imagine are probably going, especially if I go to like UNC or Duke or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Your
even
beard
just,
is
like,
probably going to be older than some of the ones in that class.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to be evangelicals, and so I'm going to be experiencing that again. But it's not going to be like apologetics because they're not going to know what the fuck they're talking about. And
Do they ever though?
some apologists do.
Oh.
Dean sometimes. And so I think that's going to be like the thing for me where I'm like, I have to get these Christian books again so I can understand like these basics of stuff. And I'm like, oh.
You
Man.
have so much fun, like just on the lead up to the weekend, talking about all the worldly things you're gonna do.
Yeah. What you guys doing this weekend?
Just watch the look on their face when you say, I'm going to go and drink and have sex.
They're just gonna turn white and
Yeah,
just
I'm
go.
But considering right here we've got, I'm ex-Bible college, Sam's ex-Bible college. So you know what, you could go and find the next lot of atheist YouTubers. They could be there, just waiting to meet you.
Yeah, maybe.
Bible college is where it happened for me. So,
well, I imagine the most, and I've spoken with some professors here because I've kind of like gotten my what's my next step with all this stuff, because at this point I've reached like the level to where anything else that I need that I want to research, I have to like actually get it from college or get it from somewhere, and they're like, yeah, really be prepared to come in there, and even if it's just like online, and know that these folks aren't going to know anything that's in the Bible.
No.
Like, even though they're evangelical Christians, they're not going to know anything that's in the Bible. They're not going to know how many books in the New Testament. They're not going to know what language it's written in. They're not going to know what Jesus' last name is.
It was Hebrew, right? It was written
Yes,
in Hebrew,
yes,
and his last
Hebrew.
name is Christ.
Yes, his
Christ.
last name is Christ. Yes.
Born of Joseph and Mary Christ.
And yes, and that's like Saul's last name is
Of Tarsus.
And
Well, here's the big question. We know that his middle name started with a H.
Yeah. Let's see what it be.
go ahead.
Hegemony.
Hegemony. Yes, Jesus hegemony,
Christ.
which actually works, by the
Word.
way. That's a Greek. There's translated into Greek, but he'd be the governing body.
Yeah.
So we can go with that. Good job.
Thank
She
you.
learned that.
I was just going to go
from-
for something like Herbert or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you say herb, we say herb because
Yeah.
there's a fucking H in it.
Yeah.
No, I said
And-
Herb with a her.
No, I know it's
Yeah.
it's an Eddie Izzard reference.
So it is kind of funny whenever when I do like live streams where I talk to like people that are doing apologetics and stuff, and to find out that of course they all have the same script and everything, but none of them know anything in Greek, and none of them have ever actually done hermeneutics or exegesis or anything like that. And like they can't even tell me the type of exegesis they would do on a certain topic, and they can't point back and forth to Old and New Testament or even parts of the Torah at all. And that's I think that's where we sometimes when we're having these conversations with, because I talk to apologetics guys, folks, all SA guys. There's not very many females in apologetics. I found that out.
Females aren't allowed to. They're not allowed to lead or speak in the churches.
Exactly.
Yeah, which by the way is anti-Pauline. So he didn't write that other shit about women need to shut the fuck up. Yeah, that wasn't Paul. Just so if anybody doesn't know that, he didn't write that. That was written by somebody else after he died, because then they realized that the apocalypse isn't coming right now. We better get our shit in order. And we're still Jews.
Apocalypticists, yay!
Yeah, and come to find out that like we get caught in their script. Even if we think that we're refuting what they're saying, we get caught in their script.
There's
And-
like red herring.
Yeah, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
No.
Yeah, so it's
Have,
like
have you met the other famous DD on the internet?
no, we don't want to either.
No, yeah.
There's every
you.
chance he'll show up in
Channel,
the
then.
chat, just to warn you. He started re-stalking me. So
Oh,
Goody.
yeah, I saw that you had unfortunate interactions.
we had some conversations, yes. Then
Conversation.
after the
Your
conversation,
you had a
he
soliloquy.
disappeared. Yeah, well, it was adequately described as the destruction of Darth Dawkins, but he
Yes.
disappeared for a month or two afterwards, but he's popped back up again. So we were getting worried about him. So it's although it looks as though he might have a bit of a thing for Godless Scummer as well,
Really?
or Amanda. We're not too sure. So I mean,
Wait, what?
it could be a bit of a love triangle going on.
Well,
Yeah,
Man is
right.
like a shit.
But
Well-
I guess it's interesting because I mean that's a classic example of someone who just follows blindly a script
Yeah.
Yes.
and can't vary from that script, and that's why all I did was I just kind of threw the script out.
Saw
so I
that.
couldn't do it. And he literally had nowhere to go. But that's because so many Christians, they're not actually learning and they're not actually reading from the Bible. They're learning from Joyce Meyer. They're learning from Ted Haggett or whoever the Christian leader is that's giving them the nice little verse here, the nice little verse there, the happy story about, wonderful Samson, who was a really good guy and didn't go and kill 50 people. So,
With the jaw of a
Jawbone of a
donkey of an
donkey.
ass.
An
Yeah.
ass.
Me and
Yeah.
Critical
But
Cripple were bored
it was
one
funny
Saturday.
because this morning, because I know you guys spoke to Richard Madsden within the last week, and I got to speak to him this morning, and it's funny because he was doing a definition on what he thought water was and the waters, and so I pulled up the original Hebrew, and I'm saying, well, here's the word for it. Here's where it is in multiple references. It clearly refers to. But it's just there's always that sort of that leap that they seem to go to, and I think that's the hardest thing sometimes when you're dealing with people who have that blind faith. They just can't take the logical steps sometimes. And look, hey,
Yeah.
I was there myself.
Yep.
I was certainly there myself. I'm going to quickly throw up to Amanda for a second because just to mix it up a bit, because you're being very quiet there. But there's something pretty cool happening this weekend.
Yeah.
There's something pretty cool happening last weekend, and then there's something pretty cool happening this weekend. So I'm going to let you do a little bit of shilling.
But you know
Because you
how I feel
love
about
to share.
that.
You love shilling.
I'm gonna make her full screen. Hold
Plug
on.
yourself.
Crazy. Yeah.
What? What's that? Oh, okay.
Never mind. Let's get it on the
Gotcha,
rewind.
I gotcha. So Chris and I have a new show that we're doing on the weekends. It's if you know my channel, you know that my tagline is to think critically. So our show is called Living Critically, and we'll just be having one show on every weekend and a guest. Next weekend we have Eric Murphy on, but this weekend I'll let Chris tell you who we have for our first guest.
I can't remember his name. Some Texan bloke.
Long hair, yeah.
Yeah, Aaron or something. Yeah. So no, we've got Aaron Rowe as a first guest. So,
we know him.
One or two people might have heard of him. He's got.
He came to some of our protests.
Yeah, he's at our protest.
Excellent.
Yeah,
We'll ask about that.
Yeah, we're pretty close to him in the long run.
Yeah. They're good people.
Yeah, they seem like, I know they had Amanda on talking about climate science the other day. So
Nice.
which was a really cool chat actually. That was a really cool conversation, and I kept donating super chats to it, and then remembered that Missy Lou was hearing every time I did a super chat, and I was like, damn, she's listening to this, isn't she? So that's okay. We got a
super chat receipt.
yes. And then I remember that it comes out of the same PayPal account that she's got access to, so she sees everything. But that's okay. She's
your super chats were just like, I love Mama Atheist, so
I just had to get it out there. I mean, we had to. You're part of the family. We've got to show you the love. We've got to, you have an important message, and something cool happening tomorrow night actually. Last weekend we did a bit of an impromptu chat. That's for those who don't know, my best mate in the real world is a flat earther. Which, to be honest, I thought he was just taking the piss out of me for a period of time. But
that conversation is happening this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the thing. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry,
so,
I stepped on that. Sorry.
So tomorrow night or tomorrow morning, depending on where you are, Mama Atheist, the astrophysicist, climate scientist, will be talking to my mate. Who, it'll be an honest conversation too. He sent me a message before saying he really hopes he doesn't make a dig of himself. But he said, I don't think she'll change my mind, but I'll listen. And I'm like,
oh, sheesh.
That's good. Well, if he came in thinking, no, she's going to change my mind, then he's probably not holding the position. So it'll be an interesting conversation. It'll be very good. And Bobby Mac, if you're there in the chat, always good to see you, my friend. But so I want to have a chat about, obviously you guys are reasonably involved politically, as you mentioned. And you mentioned in Texas, Oregon, is that a red state or a blue state?
Blue.
Very blue.
It is blue because Portland, and there's nobody else in the fucking state.
Yeah.
So about 4 million people in Portland. I think 5 million in like the whole state.
Yeah.
But if you get outside of Portland, even like to the southeast of us, it's more red, and then you get to the other side of the Cascades, which people mistake for the Rockies. They're not the same thing. Americans.
Same ones who can't point out
mountains. Yeah. You get over on that side, and it's not just red, and especially like also down south of us, it's not just red, but it's the white hooded type of red.
Yeah.
So wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Idaho's got a Idaho, which is that's east. Yes.
Oregon's northwest. Yeah.
Yeah. Pacific Northwest. Yeah, with the tree hugging hippies.
Underneath Washington, above California.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Dear Americans, that's the Pacific Ocean.
The big wet thing.
Yeah.
On the other side of on the other side of there. Okay, so that's interesting. The white hooded variety, because I thought that was something that was very much a southern, like a Georgia kind of atheist area thing.
You've got to
don't leave Mississippi out of this.
Georgia, though. I live in Georgia right now, so that's why he's going on.
now.
No, I'm not from here, clearly.
Virile denial. I did not grow up here.
So I always have to make sure people know that.
Yes, they're obviously yes. The Dixiecrats are very much in the American Deep South, but we had there was a show on YouTube, not YouTube, but Netflix, not too long ago. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it actually spoke about some of the camps they started building up in Idaho and in eastern Washington, east of Spokane, and even eastern Oregon. It's actually where like Timothy McVeigh went up and got radicalized at and everything, and all those folks, and They go up there. The folks that took over the like the compound or whatever in 2012, 2013.
Bundy?
That say again?
Eamon Bundy?
Yeah, Bundy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was here in Oregon.
Oh, I
And
thought they were in
so
Nevada.
that's where all their shit was. They came up here, and the people that put all that shit together were these. They call them white nationalists, Nazi motherfuckers, and calls them like a season. And up here, you have this identity thing. So the Proud Boys are from up here, and the Proud Boys is the Jesus Christ. Just the name alone, I don't want to be a part of your little club.
No.
And
no.
Yeah, it sounds lame. I've got to be honest.
yeah, and and so because there's not very much population.
Real confident boys.
So you get a lot of the folks that not only don't have like a lot of that, there's like little government interference, right? And so they have a bunch of fucking land, and they've all got it's basically like you would see in the more sparsely populated American South, like basically everything that's Texas, but isn't DFW or Austin or Houston, and
San Antonio.
Yeah, that's part of Austin. At these days, you just drive right through and stop, and you get a lot of the folks up here that are they come up here, so you have like they think that Antifa is this like monolith or something, and so
this
they
actual organized crew.
and so they actually we have demonstrations in Portland a lot, and then you have these other folks that come through, and they carry these. It's kind of funny. They carry American flags with Confederate flags, to which I'm like, those aren't the same country, and they come in and they get in fights or whatever, and Portland actually has a history of racism, not recently, but a history of racism, a history of redlining and all that stuff. You wouldn't hear about it, know about it if you heard about Portland today. We drove to get some weed the other day.
We did.
And
we did. I still haven't eaten.
Is that legal, or
edible.
do I need to cut that?
It's a legal state.
Yeah,
Oregon's
Portland.
a legal state.
Okay,
Oregon.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah, we don't pump our own gas. She was excited for that. So we're looking at all the places to move to, right? So we had Portland was on the list. I was up here early in 2017, so I was already sold on this place. Mount St. Helens is right up the road. So if we ever got to worry about anything, volcanoes.
Yeah.
And Mount Hood is just to the east of us, so we're fucked. And so it's this place is gorgeous.
Pyroclastic flow.
Oh yeah, we did. And the summer times are amazing. Right, I had like all this stuff and getting outside and everything. Once the sun rises back here, you'll see it. We live right in front of a forest, and so we're choosing between this and Lincoln, Nebraska, which is where I'm from. I'm from Nebraska, and not Lincoln, but Nebraska. I'm not going to live back on a fucking farm. And then Austin, Portland, Lincoln, and then we're like Finland. Just
throw that out there.
Dark.
Just see if
And so we were looking at all that. Susan said, I feel like I align most with Portland. And for me, I was like, the only reason because she's lived in Austin.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so it's got to be the fact that it's not 1,000,000 degrees in the summertime and the weed. And I actually have never asked her why she said Portland was number one.
Weed.
Okay. Well,
now you know. Now you know.
Yeah.
So it was either Portland or Amsterdam, yeah?
It was pretty much Portland or Austin.
Yeah, because I loved Austin.
Except for no weed there, but you can get it there apparently.
Yeah, it's Austin.
It's illegal. It's illegal. Don't do that. It doesn't happen in Austin, Texas. No.
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
No.
And I'm assuming you never touched weed until you moved to Portland, of course.
I didn't. No, I don't know if she did, and I'm not going to ask her to admit to anything. But I don't smoke anyways.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I actually got some edibles, right? And I ordered the THC version, and they gave me the CBD version. I didn't, and she said you always need to check before you leave the drive-through.
Because it was drive-through weed.
Yeah.
Which is even better.
What the fuck is drive-through weed? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I don't come. We don't have legal weed in my state. So what the fuck is drive-through weed?
So because everything's shelter in place right now, and dispensaries are deemed essential services because like it's medical dispensaries and shit.
Yeah, CBD.
So they are doing Some places are doing curbside pickup. Some places are doing delivery. Some
Nice.
places are doing drive-through.
Yeah.
The one we went to was drive-through. So we put the dogs in the back of the car, like in the back seat.
Dog friendly.
Dog friendly. They're all like, "Yeah, your dogs are so cute," and we're all like, "Thanks. Can we have our weed now?"
Yeah.
You know what? This could be the best advertising for Portland ever.
Right.
I'm imagining how many people are sitting in the chat, just thinking, "I've never thought about Portland, but
Yeah,
we could go. We could
it's a
go."
great idea.
Yeah.
No offense or anything, but I mean, who really does? Like, they're like, let's move to Portland. I mean, it's a lovely city, but it's not like New York or something like that. People
Correct.
automatically think like, let's move. To Portland.
Yeah, it was known as America's best kept secret for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Secret's out now.
Portland's growing. It rains here, so if you need a reason to not come here, it rains. Now it's Dallas, Texas. We figured this out. Dallas, Texas, and Portland, Oregon get the exact same amount of rainfall per year. It's like almost exact, right? Dallas gets that in like 7 days, right? And Portland gets it over the course of 6 months, to where it's whenever Susan got here,
I brought the rain with me.
It was
that 3-day drive.
It was
I brought
like
all the rain.
It was like 9-10 days in a row, but it wasn't actually like rain, right?
No,
So sometimes it's just drizzle, sometimes it's a little bit of rain. You know.
Have you been to Ireland?
Oh yeah. Look, I'm trying to explain this to Americans.
I was just waiting for someone to say that then.
I forgot you guys have that too. No wonder it's so green there.
Yeah, it's always wet here.
Yeah.
See, we only have rain when we don't have the bushfires, and then
But
We alternate between the two.
Yeah. So coming here, I came because I actually I was transferred here with my job, and then the world said "fuck you," and so we actually haven't. What's funny is that we've been on a few channels talking about some of the activism that we were doing in Texas and other places, but we haven't yet, for a few different reasons, found reason to be necessarily active in Portland yet.
And also shelter in place.
Yeah, that's main reason. There's obviously reasons up here because there are things to look at in Oregon and then everywhere, obviously, but not like not like Texas, man.
No.
Jeez, and it's like everywhere. I'd just like turn around and find a church state violation, find somebody discriminating against anybody that's not white American male, Christian,
And guns.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, and so
they love the guns in Texas, don't
They
they?
do.
yeah, more
They
guns in
really do.
Texas than like the rest of the country.
Oh, I thought you were going to say more guns in Texas than people, and I was like, I believe that.
That's
Probably true as
Seems
well.
about right.
there's 28 million. I don't know. But there, and Texas has it's 2 or 3 guns per person. I think is the something.
Is the average?
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, the national average in the United States is like 1.2 or 1.3 per person, basically.
Does that
So-
include babies?
It's every person. So you got 33
So,
million. There's more guns in the United States.
A little mosquito pistol for the baby that they keep in their diaper.
Lemon squeezer.
There you go.
Funny ones.
I say this every time it comes up with Americans. I just, as an Australian, I just don't get the obsession. I understand the historical context behind guns, but
Yeah.
I don't get it. I honestly, I don't, and I think most people in the world I speak to just don't get it. Even like ultra conservative people here in Australia just go, guns, no. Why would
Well,
you?
yeah, but Chris, they're gonna get their guns anyway.
I mean, of course.
Chris, they're
It's
not
gonna
gonna.
happen
Criminals don't
regardless.
don't obey the law, Chris.
So there's no point in regulating anything ever.
There's no regulation anywhere in the world that has decreased gun violence or gun-related deaths. That's never happened in the history of the planet.
No.
The only way to beat a man with a gun is another man with a bigger gun.
Australia, don't we?
You guys are
Right,
talking
sorry,
over each
I
other.
just spoke over math pig there. Sorry, what did you say, mate?
I says, did you not know the only way to beat a man with a gun is to be a bigger man with a bigger gun?
I mean, of course.
That is something that they said. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, close to that, anyways. The good guy with the gun.
Yeah,
which
I've heard that
Which when does that
multiple
person
times.
become the not good guy with the gun?
As soon as the police show up.
Because we've seen them to where these people are like law-abiding citizens, and then they like murder their entire family and kill themselves.
Well,
There's-
that's the big problem with guns is that all it takes is one day when you're feeling really sad, and
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't have had a gun in the house.
Or if you don't like Mondays, something like that.
Yeah.
Or seasonal affective disorder.
Which is a
am
thing here.
not lying.
Yeah,
It's
it's a thing.
I feel that it just lowers the level. Like if you really, really, really were a vindictive, evil motherfucker, you could get into your car and wipe people down. But as Sam says, it just takes that one day for a normal person to be having a bad day and have the ability to cause that damage. And generally, if you ask them to get into the car and wipe people out, they'd be like, no, that's insane. But it's just a hell of a lot easier because it's so simple to just pull a trigger. Same as that you did as a child when you were playing Cowboys and Indians. It's not getting into a car and physically seeing that person coming at you and writhing in pain. It's just bang, move on. It's removing the person from the actual deed. Like, it's just easier.
Yeah.
And the
Well,
whole
I mean,
like,
we banned guns here. Well,
96,
essentially, we banned
right?
semi-automatics after the Port Arthur massacre in, I think it was 95, was it, Sam? 95, 96?
I thought
Thereabouts,
it was
yeah.
96.
I was pretty young at the time, so
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact date, but yeah, mid-90s.
And I think we've had one shooting since.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So-
but
Hey,
it
America,
is-
you didn't have a shooting last month, so congratulations. It only took isolation to... Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently the first march since, 2005 or something like that?
yeah, without a
Yeah.
shooting.
We could just. That one's got an asterisk by it, though. You know.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
care about the
Huge.
asterisk.
They didn't have the
Come
chance.
on, you know that the NRA is going to be there saying, see, look, no shootings, no shootings.
I
Under
saw
Trump.
that argument
Under
on
Trump,
Facebook.
Trump saved us all.
Yeah.
So then, so continue to go out and buy guns because obviously you're really not safe now because they're just waiting for the chance.
Yeah, they stocked up on them.
The quarantine?
Yeah. It's just- that was the big thing. They were like, this is an essential service.
Yeah. In
What?
Texas, they're all like, "Hey, we need to have gun shops open because it's an essential service."
Yeah, that was the thing.
Okay.
And then the governor of Texas, who by the way is there. Nope, I'm not going to get into the reasons for his wheelchairness. You can Google it. Greg Abbott wheelchair.
I can.
Decided that it's his fault. Decided that not only were places where you go to pick up your, people killing sticks essential, but also churches for Easter.
Yeah.
So take your guns to church, everybody, because you're gonna fucking die anyways.
Yeah, and he also they also issued the decree that included in the
Like he called it the decree.
well, I mean that's what they're calling it too, with the stay-at-home order. They're all like, yeah, so anything that is an elective medical procedure cannot happen. It's got to be postponed.
Yeah.
So of course, everybody knew that they were targeting abortion procedures because it's Texas. Because of course. So then they're all like, well, we can't. They can't perform surgical abortions, but they can do medical abortions, like with the mifepristone and mifepristol. And then Ken Paxton issued a statement that was all like, no, you can't do those either. So it's like, how is this not an essential time sensitive procedure? I don't know. I realize it's an entirely different discussion, but like.
Yeah, no. See, I know it upsets other people, but politics is something that interests me. I'm actually doing my degree in history and politics. I'm majoring in both history and politics. So I've got an interest in it, and I would, well, if you guys are Democrats, I'd say I probably sit on the other side of the fence, but it's different.
Yeah, you do.
Here, if that makes sense. It's not like it's. I think I even mentioned in a conversation with you. It's under our the more conservative government, we passed same-sex marriage and just passed abortion laws and the ones where you can actually have one in the state I live in. So conservative government got rid of put gun control in place. So it's very different, but it's something that definitely interests me. But it's funny what I see is it's essentially with the states and the way the structure's set up there. It's like you've got 50 different countries.
Was that cat food?
I'm gonna go and
Murder a cat.
help.
Oh, good. We're pro cat murder here, except for Sam.
Well, she decided to knock over the other cat's food.
I hit this by the way.
Bigwood did know where the cats actually happened.
Cats do have a Venn diagram of being adorable and being assholes, and they just operate in the middle there. So,
Exactly. Have you seen? There's an XKCD comic that's like proximity to cats and inanity of statements, and it's like the closer you get to a cat, the more inane your statements get. So there's like a guy next to a cat, or like a cat with a guy next to it, and the guy's all like, "You're a kitty."
So
And I'm like, "That's me." I also, because I love to show this off.
It's doing that.
oh,
I'm a crazy cat lady.
Yeah, it's her cat too. So I
cat
So Sam's a crazy cat lady as well.
you
Oh,
know,
cheers.
you know who I gave the spilled cat food to?
Stanley.
One of the corgis. So there you go. If you're in the Commonwealth, or whatever the hell they call England these days, we got corgis. We have dose corgis actually.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
They're just cats for dog people.
Her Majesty would be very pleased.
Yes.
yeah, I think that makes us like honorary. Fuck, what we call it? Ukalans? I don't know. How do you?
Honorary Commonwealth.
I have a Jack Russell cross with a staffy.
Probably not the best thing.
My
Well,
dog's a
I-
Jack
honestly,
Russell cross with a staffy. I like dogs with a bit of fight.
Hey,
See, I've got a cavoodle, so I'm not going to say anything. But I got him because he's hypoallergenic, and he's cool. He's a cool dog, but he reminded me of when I was a kid growing up. We had a border collie, which is a sheepdog. Really, really cool dog. Just this big idiot that used to jump on us all the time. And when I saw this, we had a look at the pictures, and there was this litter, and we were going to get the girl dog. And I saw this little boy dog. He was black with a white belly, and I'm just going, that's my dog from when I was a kid. He just looked like him, so we got him, and he's been living with us ever since.
there you go.
He's about to crack 9 years, and he's still going strong. And he's, him and my youngest daughter have an interesting relationship where she whacks him and he bites her. So they get on pretty well.
Seems about right.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, my cat hit 13 in December, and I'm just like, I'm coming to terms with her mortality. I'm just like, man.
It's fine, Susan. They can go. My dog turned 16 on the 5th of April this year, and he's still
my
fighting
gosh.
strong.
He's still trucking.
Oh yeah, no, he like last year I had a German Shepherd as well last year, but I had to put him down. But at one stage he was 42 kilos, and the wee German Shepherd Jack Russell Cross could still fucking beat him. He'd just go straight for the throat and pull him to the ground. It was, he's built like a fucking tank. It's cross Arnie Schwarzenegger with the Jack Russell and just ump their size a wee bit, and that's what the dog looks like.
That works. That works.
I love it.
So I guess to throw a political question and it's not a political question, but more an opinion. With obviously what's going on at the moment, how do you think that's affecting, I guess, firstly the primaries, and how do you think that'll affect the election?
I was gonna say Wisconsin, they had to vote in person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I saw
had
that.
to.
That's insane.
The Republicans are making a big. I was actually talking to Chris about this last night. Is they really do not want anybody voting by mail at all.
Yeah, they hate it.
Yeah, because it expands voter access.
Yes, because I see the kitty. Because if they say that it's voter fraud, right? There's no such thing.
Voter fraud compared to what happened with fucking Russia in 2016.
Yeah.
But give them 2 seconds to just look into what happened with that shit.
Is that when the Russians tried to make Hillary Clinton one?
Apparently,
Trump spoke about that. Yeah.
That's what I hear. So Oregon is fairly unique. Oregon and Rhode Island and Washington are fairly unique in that it is a vote by mail state. So, implemented that I think 3 or 4 years ago in Oregon by ourselves, and actually saw the highest jump in percentage of voter turnouts, as well as the largest jump in demographic change. So we actually had not just more families voting. So basically, usually with the head of household, like the man would go vote and then the woman would do whatever, right? We actually saw that one increase, but also yes, the minority jump was like 64% or something like that. And you know what's crazy is something totally unexpected. There was like no voter fraud because we know it's fucking a myth. And so what they say is, the voter fraud is the issue and everything like that. Yeah, you can ask Georgia; they got that last year, and or 2018. And we're seeing more and more where states are actually pushing for that, for vote by mail, so that everybody has the opportunity to do so because it's not safe, and the Republicans can't say anything about it because you also see a lot of folks that are lean right a little bit toward the conservative side that are agreeing with that because they can't go vote either. And what does it fucking feel like to not be able to go vote?
The older demographic tend to be, they're the ones who are in the most trouble at the moment, and they tend to be the ones that will more than likely vote Conservative. Do you think with the if they do a mail-in for the actual election itself, though, do you think that'll potentially have a higher voter turnout? Because I guess rather than people just go, I couldn't be bothered, I live in a red state or a blue state, that you will get a larger, I guess, idea of where people are at?
I think you definitely would.
Yeah.
Because it's so much easier. Like, it would...
Every study shows if you want somebody to do something and you make it easier, more people will do it. Even just the wording of ways of things, like giving them a treat, but if you don't do it, we take it away. Or if you word it differently and we give you a treat every day, and if you don't do it, you lose it. The way it's just easier and people will do it more. They do want to, it's just they can't be fucking arsed.
Yeah.
If you just make it so they have to opt out of voting instead of having to opt in, then more people vote. So if everyone gets the letter and they can just fill in the box, put it back in the reply paid envelope and send it away, more people will vote.
Yeah. Well, we have more issues than just going to vote, especially in southern states where they make it more difficult to register to vote, where they make it more difficult to stay registered to vote, and where they make it more difficult to find your polling place, and or just like what Tarrant County did these past couple of years, and overload polling locations, making it, as we saw at the March 3rd primary in Texas, to where you might have to wait 6 hours to vote. That is by
some people in Harris County.
That is by design.
Yeah.
And so not only that, but they make it so where you have stringent voter ID laws in certain states. So if your name doesn't match exactly, like if you have an apostrophe or something in your name, and that's part of the issue that's led to some of the voter.
That sounds insane in a place like Texas. I mean, Texas isn't going blue. Like Texas is stable.
You say. We were 200,000 votes away in 2018.
It was
200,000, and we almost won.
Yeah, it was fairly purple.
And the voter turnout was only it was less than 1 million. It was within 1 million from 2016. That was a presidential election. This was a midterm election where Texas was. Sorry, I can't help but go over this. Where Texas was 50th in voter turnout, 50th in voter registration, and in 2018. I was part of a campaign, and we fucked that state up.
In a good way.
Yeah. We turned counties blue, and in the United States that's liberal. The Democrat. England, and you guys got.
In Australia, blue is liberal as well.
There you go.
Liberal is
liberal.
The opposite.
Yeah. Liberals.
I could live with that then, because my favorite color is red. And we saw that big shift, and in fact, the Democrats have identified Texas this year as one of 5 states that are typically, Republican, that really have a chance.
Yeah.
Because,
there were a lot of contested races in 2018 that came within just a few points from winning.
But do you think with that happening, do you think that might sort of ramp up, I guess, the Republicans who think, well, I'm not going to go and bother to vote because we're going to win anyway?
No. Republicans if there's anything they do well, they do a few things well. They're like the Romans, right? The Romans do a couple things well. They crucify people really well, and they build lead pipes really well. Republicans in Texas and in the South in general, they do a few things well. 1, they suppress voter turnout. 2, they discriminate really well. 3, they attend church. And 4, they fucking vote.
Yeah.
They vote in every single election.
Yeah.
we voted in November, right? And which wasn't even like an election.
It was like an off year, like municipal election.
Yeah, it's for the
like
Texas
local,
state constitution
local
bullshit.
stuff.
Oh yeah, and
Constitution
and so
amendments
yeah,
stuff.
one of the school districts we voted in voted to, instead of hiring on more staff, they were going to build a bigger football stadium. Yep,
That
one
makes sense. Yeah, okay.
that's Texas.
Fucking Texas.
And so they're going to vote. And I've been going over this. I've been putting like statistics together. I've done this on Twitter a few times. The issue is that when we look at 2018 versus 2016, while there were not as many people voted, almost the exact same number of Republicans voted. Yeah, that's the difference, right? And you're going to see that again this year because they go out and vote. But the issue is Republicans in the United States, by and large, are older, and so they are, they're.
I look a little too happy about that.
It's odd to say they're dying. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're being replaced. Now the largest demographic is basically between myself and those that are so you have like mid 30s down to like 18, and this is a much further left demographic than I think has ever been a monolith in the country, and for the first time as we're getting older, we are actually going further left than further right, which is the first time in this country. And because the people right now that are these super far right, xenophobic, folks that are like super Trump people, they were the hippies, right?
Yeah.
That's the same generation. They were protesting Vietnam, and now they're like this super, like, they're the opposite of what we are as we continue to get older. And so now we have more people voting, especially in places like Texas, which cascades down. It's kind of like trickle down economics, but it works. And that is where you see a lot of those close races that were won by Republicans by 30 and 40 points. They're losing now because now people actually realize that they can go vote, and something like vote by mail. That's the reason Republicans hate it.
Yeah.
Because there are not as many of them. And they do not want, especially they do not want minorities to vote. They don't want Black Americans or Hispanic Americans to vote. They do not want that.
Yeah, see, that's another anomaly in American politics, the whole racial voting lines. I guess we don't have that as much here, I guess. So there'll be clusters that'll vote, but it's one thing I've always it's always intrigued me as well. So what do you think about Biden?
I'll vote for him.
I'm
not excited.
I didn't vote for him, and also, I can do this, because I can tell you this now. So we have, American voting is dumb. First off, electoral college is dumb and antiquated, which was put in place to appease the American South because slavery. We have primaries and we have delegates that go toward especially in the Democratic primary, that go toward the candidates.
Oh yeah.
And you have a number of pledged delegates from every single state, except for Iowa and Nevada, because
fucking caucuses.
Yeah, dumb. And in those delegates that are pledged, there's also a number that are not yet pledged, and then the state has a number of delegates, and I was one of them, and Susan was as well. And I worked for Beto O'Rourke, by the way. He's the guy who went for Senate in Texas against Ted Cruz, and
he came pretty close, though, didn't he?
Yeah, 200,000.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm with you. Okay. Yeah. I remember hearing he went very close to, because Ted Cruz, I mean, he's a powerhouse in Texas.
Yeah.
But not even his own party likes him, and that's saying a lot.
He won by.
It's a bit creepy.
Yeah, he won by like 40 points in 2012 for 2012.
Ted Cruz has never come out and said that he's not the Zodiac killer.
So we don't know.
Saying.
They're never in the same room together.
Just saying.
But so
didn't his father work for Castro and assassinate Kennedy?
I believe so.
I am allegedly.
Allegedly. You can say anything you want as long as you say allegedly.
But so I worked for Beto. Susan actually, this is actually kind of like where we really made a big connection because we met at a protest.
We did.
But we made a big connection because she came and volunteered, going knocking on doors for Beto right before the election, and so
it helped that their pop-up office was right next to a toy store called Holocron, which is a Star Wars toy store.
Yes.
So I was in the area anyway to go visit their office.
Yes.
Forget politics. I want to hear about Holocron.
Hold. She's going to tell you. Hold on, because this is. So I was going to go work for Beto as run for president. That didn't work out. I talked to Elizabeth Warren campaign twice. She was who I voted for in the primary. And then, of course, she ended her campaign. She could be the vice presidential pick. I had a chance now in our county. I had a delegate to give, and it was between Biden and Sanders. And Biden won Texas, and I gave Bernie Sanders my delegate. And I am not ashamed of that. And I'm also going to vote for Joe Biden in the presidential election. So.
From an outside point of view, from someone on an outside point of view looking at that, no matter what happens, the Bernie supporters are going to get the blame. The way it's set up now, if Biden goes up against Trump, even taking Bernie as vice president or Warner as a vice president or anything like that, and loses, it'll be blamed on the Bernie supporters because they didn't come out in flocks. If he gets through and ruins it's no matter what happens, the Bernie supporters are going to get an awful lot of slack.
Yeah, well, Americans need to shut the fuck up. Seriously,
really
stop blaming everybody for everything. It is fucking annoying.
Yeah.
God. I'm
like,
seriously.
Can't we all just, work together? And
I had literally had 3 campaigns from all, like literally, can you go as far left as Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren? Like, no. That's Andrew Yang, but he's not actually that far left. And also Beto, who's a fucking centrist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and on the back of my car, right?
Yeah.
I've got Beto, I've got Elizabeth Warren, all my stuff's like, who do you support? Anybody but the orange motherfucker. Sorry, I don't mean to cuss at 5:45 in the morning.
This is a
I'm somewhere, and that's somewhere it's right.
You can swear all you want. It's yeah.
All right, talk to them about Star Wars.
So Star Wars.
I've been talking too much.
Let's talk Star Wars. Okay.
Let's talk Star
You
Wars.
said the magical F word.
So, well, I've also got Star Wars tattoo because I'm a Jedi like my father before me. I like how I'm all like, let me get close to this microphone right now.
I love you.
What?
Let's just get close so I can talk about Star Wars. Good.
So Holocron is this Star Wars toy store that's in Fort Worth in Texas. And it is, I don't even know how many square feet of nothing but Star Wars toys. And it's not just new trilogy. It's not just prequels. It's not just original trilogy. It's all that shit.
So I can go and get my Darth Revan.
Yes.
Okay.
You can pretty much, as long as they have made a toy of something, you can get it.
Yeah.
They carry like almost literally every single Star Wars toy that's available. Yeah, I saw someone with a lightsaber up there.
Oh, I see 4 Funkos. That's cute. You have 4.
Yeah,
no,
we have
I've
like
got 4 on display. I used to own a comic book shop, and we sold shop.
Nice.
No, I feel bad. We've got like 100.
Yeah, we've got like some
This
on
is my,
100.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it
So
so much.
full on VFX model, but the detail, I don't know if you can see it on the R2D2. Like it's just,
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
You goddamn nerds.
you have the well.
Oh, you are so one to talk, Sam.
Oh, we're all breaking out the Star Wars stuff.
Well, I got
Of course. My
so
favorite
she's.
pop.
Hey,
Oh my god.
where'd you get
And
Jar Jar
delicious.
from?
You want to
kidding.
go, Chris?
Can we drop Nathaniel out of the stream, please? Keep Susan, but
Yeah, sort that out, Matthew.
It was a trap. It was a trap.
it was a trap.
I have that.
Oh wow.
It
we
is
only
If Lucy Lou, if you're there,
all.
grab my,
Oh, it's upside down.
uh,
These are all like
It.
replicas.
Oh my
grab the photo of the record.
You know, that's all different letters from the editors and things like that. And
wow, that's pretty okay.
it's yeah, it's 30 years of it. My brother got me it for a birthday one stage, and you know all this stuff opens up, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my god.
it's got original replicas of scenes and movie scenes and behind the stuff, and
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it just goes on and on and on. There's so much, and then there's a DVD and all as well that goes with it. It's pretty thick. Oh, here's me box.
So
Oh,
for
hey buddy.
oh my god, hello Kylo Ren.
Spoiler alert. No, I'm kidding. I haven't seen the movie yet.
He hasn't seen 9 yet. I saw it opening night.
She
Yeah,
saw
he's-
it before opening night.
Yeah, I saw it like the Thursday, and I got like the premiere event. I got a special pin because I saw it at an event. I was like, I'm cool, and then I'm like, this is a Star Wars pin. I'm not cool.
Yes, she is.
Very,
So-
very cool.
For Christmas, my birthday, and for Valentine's Day, because they're all within like 2 months of each other.
Yeah.
He got me how many Star Wars? Like 30.
Well, not just. Well, I had fun with this. Christmas was a good time.
Yeah,
Because she also likes Parks and Rec,
I love Parks and Rec a
and
lot.
for good reason. And she's basically my Leslie Knope to Ben Wyatt.
Oh, that is just fucking cool.
That's not it.
Yeah.
That's
Wait,
the best.
you know what's funny? We couldn't have done this tomorrow after our shit gets here.
Right? Yeah, we're supposed to get here today.
Yeah, we've got.
That's bloody huge.
I was gonna,
Oh my!
I was gonna get you that
Chris.
vinyl.
Wait till you see this.
Hang on. The original.
Oh.
From
Wow.
1977.
And I have a
Dude.
life-size R2D2 as well.
Oh wow.
Of course.
That's
I own it.
so
You are in very, very good
I
company.
love it.
yeah. So Susan,
Amanda, I love
she
you.
collects the Funko Pop.
Yeah, earrings too. Earrings in the
That's
center.
Oh wow.
amazing.
And,
Susan's just coming in the seat right now. It's just like, oh my god, there's so much Star Wars.
But I knew that she collected Funko Pops because I lived with her.
I have a lot of Funko Pops.
yeah.
I already had a lot of them.
And
Yeah.
so I decided. I have a 10-inch penis. No.
Can't
It's
confirm.
why she's here.
Bragging.
No, it's a Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those
It's a
big Cthulhus.
Funko. It's the only one I've ever taken out of the box, and I was like,
Yeah,
And he
I'm not
goes
an
on.
out-of-box collector.
and so she likes Funko Pops and everything. I was trying to figure out what to get her for Christmas, and so this wasn't all I got her for Christmas, but so I got 10 of the Funkos from the new, from Mandalorian and from Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, I'm not going to wrap these fucking things up. Okay, first off, I don't know how. Secondly, I don't want to.
I
Third,
wrapped all of the other Christmas presents that we gave to other people.
yeah, and
So he's
and
I
so
had the same problem.
so I went and purchased though some Star Wars wrapping paper, and I did wrap up her Star Wars Monopoly in Star Wars wrapping paper. So
You did.
there's that.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, like, it's basically like a Russian doll. You just open it up and there's more of it. But I got these Funko Pops, and I hid them around our apartment on the basically the morning of Christmas while she was asleep. Some of them in plain sight, and
most of them in plain sight because
and-
I'm not observant.
and I made it a scavenger hunt for her because that's what Leslie Knope does to Ben Wyatt.
Yeah,
And-
on the Valentine's Day
Yeah.
episode, Leslie sets up this very, very intricate riddle scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
So that's basically what he did for me.
Yes.
Was he gave me the first one like in the stocking, and it was like a Whataburger Yeti because again Whataburger,
Yeah, that one.
and then like a Funko Pop in there, and it had a little card that had a clue on it, and each one had a clue for like where the next thing was.
Each of them,
and
they were
they were all Parks and Rec quotes.
They were Leslie Nope quotes.
Yeah.
So I had to go and have fun with that. And of course, I also got her the necklace she's wearing there.
Well, this is like the final one.
And went through there. Like one of them was like the one where it's like, let's break out a map or something. You know, not a map that's and it was like actually was the last one.
Yeah.
Not a map that's used, but a new one, right?
The new one that shows us where we're going. Not an old map that shows us where we've been, but one that shows us where we're going.
Yeah, and that one had like obviously like a double meaning to that. And so I hid those all over the apartment, and that was a lot. That was a lot of fun doing that. And then
a lot.
And I also told her that I was like, oh, and I couldn't find this, like this blue chrome or gold chrome Chewbacca's because she's a huge Chewbacca, and
Love Chewbacca.
and I couldn't, but I did. And I was just like kind of buying myself time with that until her birthday and until Valentine's, because she got both of those. And
I
she
got the
got
gold and the blue.
The
blue one is only like they only made like 3,500 of them.
Yeah, and she's got some fairly rare ones now.
Got a couple chases.
I think you have every Chewbacca Funko Pop that was made.
Sure I do.
Hey, not first order, but
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
Oh my god!
So
like you are in very good company. Incidentally,
you keep going, like seriously.
Do you realize how hard you're making it for every other
Chris is
bloke?
just ignoring me. It's fine.
If you want to keep showing him off, I'll just keep watching.
What'd you say, Chris?
I said, do you realize how hard you're making it for every other guy who has a girlfriend or a wife who is watching this right now? Like you have set a very high bar.
No, that wasn't all of it. What did I do? What did I do for the car?
Oh. So for my car, because I have a 2010 Hyundai Elantra and it's a super shitty little car, he told me, hey, you have to be at this Best Buy at this time on this day. So it was like Christmas Eve or something, or the day before, or the 23rd or the 24th. It was the
24th, yeah.
The 24th, so it was Christmas Eve. Like he's like, you have to be there at 10 a.m. to the Best Buy because you have an appointment. And you have to take it around to the mobile installation. I was like, okay. So like it was like, okay, something.
I think it was to pick something up from me from the install bay.
I was like, okay, that's cool. I can do that. So I like pull the car around and I go in. I'm all like, oh hi, I'm Susan. He gave me a note to give to the install guy, and the guy like reads it, looks at me, and he looks at it again. And he like closes it and puts it in his pocket, and he's all like, all right, give me your keys. And I'm like, wait, what? So I give him the keys, and he's all like, you can't stay back here. You have to walk around the store. You can't stay back here because you can't see what I'm doing. And I was like,
is this a chop shop?
No.
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, no. So whenever he was done, I got in the car. The guy was all like, okay, let me show you this. And I got in the car, and he had them install like a touch screen with like the GPS and Android Auto and stuff for my car. Completely unbeknownst to me, he'd gotten all this stuff, and he was like working at a Best Buy, so he got stuff like for cheap and with all the warranties and stuff. Completely surprised me. I called him like on the way back home. I was just like crying. I'm just like, this is so bad.
Backup camera too.
Yeah, backup camera, which I didn't quite use sometimes.
No, she doesn't. And that was just like Susan last year was not my best year. I had to have emergency surgery without insurance. And so
and I had broken my ankle. Yeah. He had the emergency surgery at the beginning of December.
Yep.
I broke my ankle in February.
Yeah.
So 2019 was difficult.
Yeah, and she helped me a lot when I needed it. And so the opportunity that I had to be there for and do something for her that I thought was she was really going to like, and that's why I said, hey, don't worry if you don't get me as much as I get you.
And I tried. Yeah. I tried real hard. I did not succeed.
Yeah, so that was and then there's still more stuff coming because you also got the huge
I got the big old
The
Han
Millennium-
Solo
the Millennium
Millennium
Falcon.
Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
So
All of our Funko Pops are going to be here soon.
yeah. So yeah, they're gonna today.
I'm excited.
Actually,
yeah.
this morning.
Yeah, all of our stuff.
Ooh,
Actually, I think I saw one of. I think I noticed in one of your videos there was like Funko Pops everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, a bit of respect there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I started the collection
so
back
nice.
in, I think 2015, I'm wanting to say, 2014, 2015.
Mhm.
I had a chance to buy a Rorschach Funko Pop back in 2013 that I didn't buy, and they're like $350 or $400 now.
Yeah.
I found some on eBay that I'm pretty sure are fake, but I'm like, this says it's $19. I don't think it's real.
Actually, I'm going to let you in on a little hack here. In Australia, we get a lot of the limited edition Comic-Con releases that we can sell retail here. So a lot of the New York Comic-Con stuff, a lot of the rare stuff that in the US is hard to get, in Australia not so hard to get.
I see them a lot at the retail stores around here.
Yeah.
And the exchange rate at the moment is terrible for us. So it's probably a good time. We used to have dollar parity, and I think we're at about 56 cents now.
65 or 64.
What the?
Damn.
Golly.
Damn.
It's because Trump managed your economy so well.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
It's a ghost inflation. So it's like it's being.
It's the way that Trump's doing it. It's the old school protectionist. It's like the pre-World War II stuff. Fine short term. It'll have that short term. It's like a false economy.
Yeah.
Long term, it won't work, and certainly when events like what we're going through now happen, definitely doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Small businesses. The loans for the money for small businesses is already gone. So and that was like a week.
Didn't Ruth's Chris Steakhouse get a shit ton of money?
Yeah, they got
and all
$20 million, even though the limit was only $10 million. And they had 10 times the amount of employees that the bill actually said you needed to have to qualify.
Yep. And millionaires,
Jesus
by
Christ.
the individual millionaires, are getting the $1,200.
And what was it? Bank of America was just outright going, hey, we're not going to give this to you unless you have a loan with us, because they don't want people to default on their loans to the bank, and they want to give the grant out so they can just collect it back.
Yep.
Gee.
Yeah, they're it's American consumerism. Sure. Yeah, no, our
Capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Runaway capitalism, man. As long as you're rich, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Apparently.
What are you, a socialist?
Yes.
That's the same thing as communism, right?
Yeah,
It is the exact same
right?
thing as communism, yes.
They're all exactly the same, right?
You support Stalin and Hitler and Mao.
Yes. I
All
mean,
these things done
I
with
aspire to be
atheism.
all of them in one person.
Have you seen the numbers for the amount of atheists that killed people? It's just...
I know. It's in the name of atheism too. We did it because atheism.
We did.
Yes.
We all did. It's entirely.
In the name of disbelief.
Yeah.
Divine disbelief.
Yeah.
I was.
You didn't catch it.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Chris said, he'll be right back. I'm like, oh, because earlier he was on Twitter. Gesundheit. He was on Twitter and talking to this person. I don't even know who that person was, and they were talking about
with the
historical Jesus,
Joe Exotic and Trump mashup.
Yeah, and said because Chris is a mythicist and I'm not. God discover and I'm not, and he knows that I'm not, and Susan is a mythicist.
I'm not a hardline mythicist in that I cannot debate it, I cannot support it. I just don't see enough evidence to support that the Jesus of the Bible existed.
Yeah.
He might be an amalgamation of different itinerant rabbis.
He's not.
I think I've come in.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Yes,
It was that's what I saw on Twitter, and I was trying to get that person to to talk to me because I wanted to see just the exact same as when people hold a mythicist position. Yeah. If they also hold the same position, all that person said was all of the scholars say this, and they're asterisk every historical scholar or historian that works at a university in a capacity, yes, agrees with that. Every single one of them. I'm obviously I may be missing one, but it's universal. There are other folks who hold advanced degrees, like Richard Carey's got a degree in the classics, right? Who don't teach anything with religion, and they are mythicists, and Robert Price and stuff like that. And I was going to ask him that. I was going to say, so how do you actually define this? Because there are people who study, and the classics you can say is a version of the histories, right? And that don't hold that position, because that's, as you mentioned, Chris, that's not a good reason.
No, it's and look, see, I don't hold a hard mythicist position. I do lean on the side of I think it's more likely that he didn't exist, and I haven't seen sufficient evidence. And sometimes I look at things probably a little bit too much.
Thank you.
You've never asked.
Well, no, okay. So I'm the exact same, because I was just saying I don't think the Jesus of the Bible existed. I think it might have been,
Well, certainly the way he's presented in the Bible, but I'm not even convinced that an itinerant preacher called Jesus with 12 disciples wandered around and was crucified by the Romans. I don't think there's sufficient evidence for that, and I think there's a lot of errors. There's no eyewitness accounts. But that being said, I'm happy to be shown where I'm wrong. If there's something out there that'll show me I'm wrong, no problems.
Sorry, I'm giving him that look because that's the exact same reasoning that I have.
Here's the thing. We always say that, and then the conversation just goes on. We've never actually had the conversation.
We haven't.
Nope.
We haven't, because he's not a mythicist. He's not a mythicist.
No, I'm a historicist.
Historicist?
I don't know. I believe somebody existed.
I was feeling down the route that somebody existed, but most of the stories are an amalgamation of other people doing things, and they all got taken together. Different, Chinese whispers. I heard this guy did it, and I heard this guy did it. It all comes together and comes under the umbrella of one guy did it.
If you look at the Gospels, the character of Jesus in Mark and the character of Jesus in John are two different characters.
Yeah.
So
for the most part,
potentially one of them could, but they both couldn't, because they're too different in their nature.
But don't you think that the differences make it more plausible?
It just shows that they're not afraid. They're not afraid of things like that, and they would have realized, and that proves it's real. So so Jesus.
Yeah, that's a new apologetic. That's dumb.
Well, the thing is, with this person today, and for those who hadn't seen it on Twitter, it was a simple question. I think he'd made some smart-ass comment about I don't believe in atheists, and I remember I used to hear people say, I don't believe in the devil back in my Christian days, and people say, well, the devil believes in you, so you've got to watch out. So I just threw the old cheeky, well, we believe in you, and I thought I'd leave it there, but then all of a sudden it got to, well, did Jesus exist? Did Jesus exist? I said, well, what are we talking about? The person Jesus, or are we talking about the divine Son of God?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And he's saying, which was followed by, did Jesus exist? Don't dodge the question. I'm saying, not dodging.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to get you to define what you're talking about.
And then that's why I I was just having fun with it too.
You have to start with the same parameters, man.
Because I was like, I came up and said, hey, I believe Jesus existed. Why do you believe? And he would not talk to me.
Yeah. You were trying to go for the getting into the epistemology of it.
Yeah, which is why I do that. And I feel like I've done a fair bit of research, myself, and
I gotta keep her from eating that.
Yeah, good idea. And I was like, dude, why are we on the same team? Like, what do we have in common? Like, maybe I can learn something from you. Maybe you could learn something more likely from me.
But this is Twitter, and you're giving Twitter way too much credit here.
Yeah, I know. And of course I realized that there was no way. And he said, I don't believe in atheists. And I said, well, there's two here. Me and Susan. And I was like, I believe that the person Jesus existed. But yeah, the question because I also ride the position that Jesus never actually claimed to be God either. And I have debated that actually. And
I wouldn't have an issue with that actually. I always thought the Trinity was a bit of a stretch as far as a concept goes.
Yeah, the Trinity is not biblical. It's not Pauline. at all. And anyway, it's certainly not Jesus. Paul thought that Jesus was an angel. And I believe that that's easy to see just by looking at Galatians chapter 4, verse 14. And also, well, 2 Corinthians 2:1 as well. But and I've actually shown it to Susan too. And pretty much everything that I find in the Bible, I show to Susan, just so you know. So she gets the word from me. I'm basically her. I'm like her pastor, and except
That works.
It's true.
yeah, except for
Is that Friday night role play?
I assume you're familiar with my favorite verse, which is Ezekiel 23:20.
Yeah, I think that's every atheists love that verse.
Yes, to the Bible.
But don't. They never read it, and so they don't know we're taking it out of context.
That's very true.
Yeah, and so I go into, because that was something last year when I debated Dean up in Oklahoma, I guess over in Oklahoma, about whether or not Jesus rose from the dead. Spoiler, no. Where we actually spoke about it in pre-debate that we're not going to discuss whether Jesus existed, because for me, for the purpose of that debate, it doesn't matter. And what was kind of crazy is that he actually he brought it up in the debate, and I was like, I said we're not going to. We discussed that we're not going to talk about whether Jesus existed. That's a whole other conversation, Dean. Which, by the way, I agree with you. So push off.
Yeah. He also did
claiming someone existed is mundane. It tells us nothing about the reliability of the extraordinary. So right,
yeah.
It's mirrored.
Dean also did something incredibly dishonest in the second debate, because they've done that debate twice. Not Dean, not at all.
We have a third debate, so go ahead.
So he's done two of these same debates so far, and I told him both times, I'm like, you know exactly what he's gonna say. So
right.
His second debate, Dean actually said, so if you cannot bring an alternative to the resurrection, then you lose.
Yeah.
He said not exactly that in those words, but that's what he said. And it's like, I don't think you know how debates work.
Well, I think that Dean understands that I know the Bible really well.
Yeah.
And that I also understand its connection to history, and that I understand who wrote what and what it actually means. And he did not want to discuss the Gospels, which is the only place that we find those stories. And probably because he knows that I know them.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, but I was sitting there thinking, I was like, why wouldn't you want to discuss the Gospels to show the authenticity of the actual Gospels, right? Because one can, and apologetics have stretched themselves in people that do apologetics in pretzels to show how, as you said, right? If they were all the same, you'd know they'd be fake. And I was like, yeah, that's the same thing I say whenever the New York Times and the Los Angeles, whatever the fuck, and the Chicago Post or whatever, they all run the same story, the exact same. You know what I think? All of them are lying. No.
Yeah.
That's fucking dumb. And
independent attestation and shit.
Well, and one of the things though is that, like, by definition, the New Testament, particularly the Gospels, are cherry-picked for the Christian religion, because they never look at, well, what do the apocalyptics say? What do the non-canonical books say? Where it's much easier to then build a case that the entire mythology of Jesus evolved as it got further away from the initial stories, and as it got further away from, the Q document or something.
The same source.
To get superpowers, the further they get from the source, and the further it goes into tradition and into mythical. By the time you get to Revelations, everything's just complete, ready for a Marvel Cinematic Universe reboot. Like, it's a very different story when you look at all the historical documents, and not just the one the church went and specifically said, hey, these ones are the least batshit insane, let's base our religion on this.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing. They're the least batshit insane.
Yeah, I would have rather, I would have rather they kept the Maccabees and Enoch, both of them, as well as the Jubilees, the intertestamental stuff that really kind of creates the Satan character, but also puts into light the idea of apocalypticism and what the coming Son of God was going to look like. I was actually hoping that because in there you also see some of the the Maccabean line of succession that goes to the Herodian dynasty, and which then of course comes into like Matthias and stuff, and it actually makes it's a full line of stuff, and they chose not to put that in there partially because Enoch doesn't die and he's God.
Definitely should have had you on this morning instead of Chris. No offense, Chris, but swap the two of you out. Because the thing we were doing this morning, we actually just finished reading the Book of Enoch with Richard. I'm only winding you.
I'm enjoying this.
We just finished reading the Book of Enoch last week with Richard Madsen.
Oh.
We just went through it, and we had like an end of season sort of hangout where people got to ask him what they wanted about the book and his interpretation of the book and stuff like that. And like we did skip the last maybe 10 chapters because it was just so repetitive at the end. It got so fucking goddamn repetitive at the end.
What got me was when he said that there was a clear description of a eucalypt tree, which was evidence that that they travelled to Australia. And he's describing a eucalypt tree. I'm just going, not a eucalypt tree. What a eucalypt tree does. And everyone's arguing with me, and then it was great because Lissy went out the back because we've got a eucalypt out the back. It was like, he's from a eucalypt tree. It was, but even then it was just sort of, and I'd intended on sitting there and listening, but as soon as I heard that, I'm like, hang on, no, that's not quite right. And then it just kind of went from there, and I'm messaging Mathby going, I'm so sorry, just tell me to shut up. If you want me to shut up, just tell me to shut up. And he's like, no, go for it.
Chris texted me to ask if it was okay if he could go off on Richard. Like, I had to ask Mathby if it was okay.
Go off, but I just wanted to correct things because there was some stuff he was saying that was easily disprovable. Like, he was saying the flood happened on another planet. I'm saying, well, actually, no, the flood was stolen from the Epic of Gilgamesh. And the reason they stole it was because they were trying to build a nationalistic pride in the Hebrews at the time.
Yeah, but waters are humans. The waters are humans.
Well, he'll go on and on. He'll spend like a half an hour.
Nice guy, mind you. Really nice guy.
Yeah, I love Richard.
He'll spend like a half an hour defending some ideal of Christianity, and then he'll say, no, but I actually don't agree with this. It's stupid. And I have this argument where I just feel he's always been extra, like, I don't know, arguey to me. I don't know how to explain it, but like, I just...
Richard is Richard.
I think he's intimidated by you, like not even lying to you. Like I think it's that he sees that you are...
That's exactly what I told her.
Higher level of intelligence. I'm sorry, Richard. I love you very, very much, but it's very, very true. He sees how smart you are. So he feels like he gets defensive.
We had this argument. The first time I actually had like an actual debate with him was about, he had this idea of like a comet or an asteroid knocking the planet off of its orbit or something like that.
It's 5 asteroids knocking Mercury out of its orbit. It's going to then fly over Venus and Earth. No, that happens afterwards. That happens afterwards.
Okay.
We didn't get to that.
I have a undergrad in astronomy and physics and astrophysics, and I very calmly started and I explained it to him, and I also told him, like, I have this degree, and I did for a while. I tried to be nice about it, and he just kept telling me, well, I don't believe you. This is my opinion. And I was just like, how do you want me to respond to that? You know?
Do you know, it's quite funny because when me and him were talking, that's his criticism about you. He was like, she just says stuff and I'm to accept it. That's her opinion. And I'm like, I'm just going to step out of it.
I see Hissy's in the chat, and I was actually thinking of you today, Hissy, because what actually happened was he said that Jupiter represented the Greek centaur.
Wait, what?
No, the centaur.
I don't think that's right.
It's definitely not right, which was the point I made. I said, no, Jupiter's actually Zeus. Jupiter's the Romanized version of Zeus. And then Mercury's the Romanized version of Hermes, but he's thrown these different characters, different Greek characters on them. I'm saying, but no, that's not what that is. And I'm thinking, if only Hissy was here, Hissy would have loved this. So I think I do need to get Hissy on with Richard at some point, because that would be the conversation I want to see.
We put Richard against Darth Dawkins. That was hilarious. That totally threw Darth off his script.
I need to see that video.
I need to see that too.
I need to see that.
I will let that be my first exposure to Darth Dawkins. Like, I'm okay with
But
that.
you've never had.
No, I blissfully ignore.
Honey, we have.
There's a back catalogue, Susan. If you want to see him shouting at some 12-year-olds that they're wrong about their atheism, I've got that too. You know, there's loads of funny stuff with Darth.
Wait, Richard or Dawkins?
Well, no, the Darth Dawkins v Richard is on my channel, but there's Tom Rabbit's channel and there's an LOL something else channel that just records all his conversations on Discord, and some of them are just fucking insane. Like,
oh, actually, if you ever get the chance, there's the Darth Dawkins Christmas album. If you ever get the chance, that's actually really funny to watch.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, our conversation with Richard didn't get terribly far.
No.
Because it, we tried to make sure that we were, it was a lot of tangents. And we tried to make sure that we were like starting from the same premise on stuff, and we spent so much time trying to understand his premise.
Do you know, that's funny that both you and Mama both rubbed your face at the exact same time whenever you said something about Richard. It was just, oh.
He was telling me about like demons being expelled from the sun yesterday, and I was like,
huh?
I couldn't, like, I can't fucking.
Yeah, he said that like
you're making me fucking angry now.
He said that this Earth is like the
23rd. This is the 24th. Okay, this is the 24th. There's been 23 before.
Listen, I've come into this fresh, and I thought he was just a regular Christian apologist, but this is starting to sound.
No, yeah,
Richard.
Also, this morning when I jumped on the stream with him,
he was telling us that he doesn't believe that Jesus was ever actually crucified. He believes that that's a future thing that's going to happen.
Yes, the whole Bible's prophetic.
He said, yeah, it's going to happen just like this in the Bible, because they're going to have the Bible in the future. It's going to be like post-apocalyptic, and they're not going to have the energy anymore. Like all the
brought up Mad Max.
Power plants are going to go down, and so they're going to have to resort to like very.
We went through the whole book of Enoch and boiled it down, and it basically was the aliens are going to kick our doors down, going to separate the family. They're going to take people away and measure them with a rope to see who's a Nephilim, because Nephilim have longer arm ratio. And I just kept screaming, "Alien overlords! Alien overlords!" at him. I didn't know what else to do.
We didn't get that, because I was like, dude, no, I think that we can, like, for me, I'm like, I believe Jesus existed, and I'm pretty sure the motherfucker got crucified. I'm gonna go with you on.
He probably would have. I mean.
Oh yeah, he claimed to be a fucking king. Yeah, he crucified his shit.
That didn't fly in the Romans. Especially in that very rebellious sort of area. They got rid of it pretty quick.
Yeah, which is actually kind of funny because Caesar was the one that put King Herod in place. Herod the Great type stuff. And he called him king when Caesar put him in charge of Iudea. Was that like in the 30?
He wasn't even Hebrew.
He was not a Jew.
Iudea sounds like a contraceptive.
Yeah, it is. It's they tried to separate themselves from. They tried to make it so that nobody was Jewish. Like this is the line right here. And
also, it sounds like Marina.
Yeah, it was because whenever obviously the Hasmoneans came and Herod ended up coming, like whenever they were like, oh yeah, because Agrippa got fucked up in battle, and basically the fuck were they? Not the Trachonites, but somebody else was like taking over the whole area, and so they ran off to Caesar, and they were like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Oh, okay, well let's put somebody in place, and that's when they put Herod in place, and then they called him king. And even Josephus even calls him multiple times in Antiquities King of the Jews. He references him not by his name, but rather by the King of the Jews. And I was like, wow, nobody tell Jesus. And because I was reading that, and I was like, how many times? I was showing you that. I was like, how many times does this motherfucker call him King of the Jews without calling him his actual name?
Yeah.
Because straight up and down, that was part of the thing when he just called him Herod by himself. It was Herod, His sons were not, even though their first names were Herod, they were never called that by Josephus. They were always Archelaus, they were always Philip, they were always Agrippa, and those names. But it was always King of the Jews or just Herod. And I was like, all right. So it's kind of odd to think. I was like, they crucified Jesus and others for claiming to be kings, but they actually called Herod the king. They gave him the title. It was so odd to me.
This is so beyond my
Sorry.
purview.
Sorry, there's probably people that have unsubscribed from the channel right now.
Oh yeah, all the numbers are dropping. There's nobody watching anymore except the Knights of Nah.
Sorry.
It will seem neat to you if you do not appease me. But look, I don't care who's watching and who's not. This is an interesting conversation.
I'm only joking.
Yeah.
I can talk about the crucifixion of Jesus as it relates to Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes.
So
She
I got
watched
that
that
going.
last week,
I got
right?
that going for me.
Oh,
Which is
I've
nice.
seen it.
It's
I remember
great.
the song and that's about it.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, if I sing any more of that, I'm gonna get a
I've-
strike against your channel.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
sorry.
never seen it.
It's great.
I know who they are, but I've never seen it. And
You're like, I know all the
like
characters.
Joseph in the Technicolor
Judas and
Dreamcoat. I've never seen that
Caiaphas
one.
and
Ah, yeah, the
Like,
magic
I know who
dream
those
coat,
people are.
the Technicolor
The
dream coat.
all I've seen is War of the Worlds, and that was sensational.
Yeah.
Makes me wish Jay was on here because he fucking loves that shit. Both Jesus Christ Superstar and Joseph from the Dreamcoat. Remember that ramble he went on about it the other day?
The show this week, because there's a YouTube channel called The Shows Must Go On that are having 48 hours of different musicals, and so they did Joseph, they did Jesus Christ Superstar. This week, it's Phantom of the Opera.
I
I'm
love
excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
That's gonna be. You'll enjoy that.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
so excited.
that's the
I
nice
was
way
so
of saying
obsessed.
I ain't watching that shit.
I was obsessed.
Yeah, that'd be
If they do
fun.
Wicked, oh my god, I'm gonna be so happy.
I love it.
There is the best musical.
She's going to
Matt,
say
pick,
Hamilton.
what is the best musical?
Do I have to kick you instead of answering? I'd rather kick you instead of answering. I'm supposed to say Hamilton, but I am not.
It
under...
is Hamilton. Yes, it's Hamilton. Kick
It's
everybody.
absolutely Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yes. See?
Susan,
See?
So
They
Jim
fucking know.
Gaffigan's kids.
Millions of people think that Justin Bieber is fantastic. They're all still wrong.
Justin Bieber is trash. Hamilton is fucking genius. Okay?
Legit.
Fuck it.
Fucking legit. Like not only because lyrically it's amazing, the musical themes in that
Yeah.
show
That
like,
weave
just-
through each other and all the callbacks to the 1990s hip hop and shit. Oh my god, it's fucking perfect.
amazing.
You know, it took him a year to write not only Alexander Hamilton but One Shot as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Not
good those
surprising.
songs are.
Yeah.
Fucking perfect.
Well, and he was working on that since like 2008,
Yeah.
2009.
Yeah, it was a while. Yep.
Because I think it was in like 2009 that he shows up at the White House thing, and he's just all like, "So I'm working on a hip hop musical
Talk to Obama.
And
about
they laughed
one of
at
the
him.
coolest things, Alexander Hamilton," and everyone's all like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And then he fucking
Yeah,
drops
Obama.
it.
So
I'm like,
Obama took credit for it.
Did you know that he wrote "You'll Be Back" during his fucking honeymoon?
Yeah, he was
I
on the beach.
Love it.
Yep.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
I love Jonathan Groff
No,
so much. I love
So
Jonathan
we
I'm not talking about politics, so I'm going to let you have this one.
we have plans to go watch Hamilton.
Yeah, we got them
Where?
for the June show in
In
Fort
Oregon?
Worth.
No,
No,
Fort
in
Worth.
Fort Worth.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
They're probably not doing rehearsals.
yeah, they're
so
probably not going to have it.
Yeah,
it's not
but
going to happen.
when they do the movie though, they're doing it just like they're just like shooting it on the stage. So it's the original cast. Just
Was it already recorded?
like they're not movie doing it like they did with like Les Mis and stuff.
Right.
They're just straight up shooting it like they did on the stage. It's
I thought it was a recording from like
Yeah,
2016.
I thought they'd already recorded this stuff and they're going to like put it together.
Because
and
it's
stuff.
from, yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
the original cast.
I don't know.
I might be wrong.
no, the original cast is coming back to redo it, the whole thing as a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet it was John Krasinski that got them together.
Probably.
Hey.
He did do that on Some Good News.
Yeah. I'm socially relevant. Oh,
I wouldn't have known about that if I didn't show it to you.
yeah. Susan actually did this last night.
I did.
Because we're making a video. We can't, like, it's not like, it's a response video. And Susan found something that I have. It's a religious video, so sorry. I know we're talking about Hamilton,
okay.
which
I
agree. By the way, I listen to that just during like my free time, and also when I'm not free.
Bit of a tangent, yes, exactly.
But it's about we're looking at some things about Luke, right? Chapter 2, basically, and rescuers down under. I know. And stop. My girlfriend just broke up with me, but it's about the Luke census, and we're writing some of the stuff for it and trying to figure out, because we want to be as technical as possible while making it easy to understand, but also citing every single source and seeing where we kind of like guarding the sides basically. And we were reading this thing about going back to their place of origin type stuff, and we figured out, like, okay, why did they only go back to David? First off, and by the way, we know the reason why, because of Micah chapter 5 verse 2. But why does it stop at David? There's nothing that says it has to stop at David, because David would be the line. If you read the book of Luke chapter 3, he goes all the way back to Adam, who, by the way, is the son of God, and that's the proper Greek translation. Adam was the son of God, and so sorry, Jesus, again. But the reason given for this in this video that we're responding to is because they would have to go back to their because their land and their property is the property of their fathers, which is, then they reference like Deuteronomy and some shit. And Susan was thinking about this looking here last night, and
I did point this out.
And she did point this out about, like, wait, what about why not go further back? And then I said, Susan, you're a genius. I didn't say that, but it's true. And I said, wait a second. So the land that they have is the land of their fathers. What if, and this would never happen, but what if they went there and somebody else that's not a Jew owns the fucking land? Like, it's not land of your fathers anymore, right? That's it. You're gonna get
it's a different person.
Or a different family,
like, different Jew.
Yeah, it's just, they get repossessed or some shit. You failed to pay the mortgage, something, and now it belongs to somebody else. What are you gonna do? And I was like, I've never heard anybody actually bring this up in counter apologetics ever, and so it right there.
I need you to do me a favor. When you go to seminary, you've got to arrange to have a Bible study at your house. Invite everyone around. Say we do Bible study every week. Come around. It's a great thing. We need to do this, and you need to have the camera set up.
So by entering this house, you are consenting to be broadcast on YouTube.
Laws in Oregon.
Portland is the least church city in America. There's the most non-religious city in the country.
I love it.
There's still plenty of.
So when you say most non-religious, what does that look like? I mean, how many?
Or least religious?
There are, least religious, sure. There are still, obviously, you can still see churches. We drive up, the highway, and there's the big fucking steeple, which makes them more important.
So there's a lot of people.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And we still see them, but we don't have here as much. They don't have as much say in the school systems, which is great. And they don't have as much say in government either, which is a really big deal.
Religion shouldn't have any say in either of those things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah, but my First Amendment.
Right.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You have to say that with a Southern accent, of course.
Yes, I have to. It's not. Look, I guess that's offensive or whatever, but it's not my fucking fault.
That's right. Push all the Christianity on everyone else.
Yeah.
That's First Amendment. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't say freedom from religion. Yeah, it doesn't say you can't have a fucking Mac 10 either. Okay. Jeez, it doesn't say you want a fucking fighter jet, because Hamilton, by the way, when it came to the Second Amendment, because he's the one that wrote the Federalist Paper number 43 on this shit. It's like I know stuff. Wanted not only for
I
this.
don't think that was under dispute.
When he when he was defending the Second Amendment, he defended in a way that not only were we entitled to everything, American citizens entitled to every weapon that the government has, but that the government supplies them to us. Like they give them to us.
Reminds me of the episode of Boston Legal where Nantucket was fighting to have nuclear weapons.
I feel like that would be that's constitutional.
Yeah. I mean, completely.
How are you going to overthrow the government if you ain't got nukes? Or like not just not overthrow, but yeah.
I heard about a girl from there once.
it's yeah. I can't. I don't know. I wasn't going to respond.
That doesn't happen very often.
No.
Him not thinking of something doesn't happen very often.
So.
Yeah. No, we need nukes now. Yeah, Dave, I agree. But Portland is, and mind you, I arrived here on the 9th or the 10th of March, and I was at work until the 21st, I think, or 22nd, some crazy thing.
Yeah, the day before I got here.
Yeah, or it was like Stanley's birthday or something. What's funny is that the store that I don't actually work for Best Buy, I work for Samsung, but the store that I was in lost power that day. So they closed the store early. Yeah, that was the sign of the times, sign of thing to come. And so I was here. And then the next day we had a call and it was that we're doing stay-at-home work. And that lasted for 2 weeks, and then we got furloughed. And we're furloughed apparently until the 28th, which means and in that time, I didn't really get to go out and do much. I didn't want to anyways because we said I'm going to wait for Susan to get here. And then we brought Susan here like 2 weeks earlier than we're planning because it's like we're not gonna be stuck.
I left on like the 19th or 21st, and God.
Yeah, it was like almost 2 weeks in advance of when she was supposed to. Yeah, and so she hasn't been up here long enough. We haven't been outside obviously to see that. No, up here, there's still street preachers up here, and things like that. But it's really not.
Portland, got to get that revival.
Yeah, yeah. It's Satan has really got them here, and but at the same time, it's like you can either have the street preacher or you can have the crazy homeless dude. Which one do you want? And
how fun is the crazy homeless dude?
I was going to say, sometimes
were you going to say Richard, Robbie?
I was not going to say
because he chose to be homeless for a while. That's why I said that.
Oh, really? There are plenty of people that do that. Oregon has up here there are really lax homeless laws up here, and they're actually like homeless camps, and they set up and they actually, some of them have like their own zip code now. It's pretty cool. And to where they have like all their tents and everything. And then you can see these folks that choose to be homeless. They actually like walk up and down like the streets and stuff. And when it's trash day, they'll like get in like the person's like trash bin or whatever. But then they take out the recycling stuff and then they go and they turn it in to recycle it and then they get money. And I'm like, that's I've seen that more than once. And so it's not as, it's like, God, I've seen people talk about the homeless populations and stuff. And obviously, yes, it's a problem that we should be taking care of, but it's not like, it's like bum fights,
Yeah.
It's
I didn't mean it like that. Honestly, he chose to be homeless for like a year, I think. So
just to see what it was like.
Yeah, and there are people that choose it.
Fucking clue. No clue.
There are people that choose it, that choose to be homeless. It's kind of like going off the grid for them. And they're just like, I'm just going to go do this.
Save that for your conversation number 2, in between the alien overlords and everything else. Best he tells us.
It's always fun. Now, we've been going for just over 2 hours, so I might wrap it up in a second, so you guys can actually enjoy the morning there. I've noticed that...
I need more coffee.
Bright out the back. It was. I didn't realize that it was.
It started
outside.
dark.
I thought it was like another room there before. And
nope.
It's like,
nope. That is the forest.
it looks quite nice. Very nice there in Oregon. So
Yeah.
Excellent. So what I might do, I'll wrap up. I'll go around. I'll just get everyone to do a quick what's coming up on the channel for everyone, and then I'll let you guys sort of finish off and definitely give yourselves a big plug. So Sam, what do you got coming up, mate? Please
So
do.
what I've got coming up.
People think you look angry.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just my resting bitch face.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So on Sunday, I'm actually going to be on Talking with Caffeine on Vandalia's channel. So we'll be that's at 8 o'clock in the morning in Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'll let you do your own conversions. So looking forward to that. And I'll finally be with someone that watches anime and plays Japanese role-playing games and all that sort of cool stuff and reads visual novels and stuff. So I'll get to nerd out a bit more than I normally do. So that's pretty cool. On my channel, not sure if anything will be coming out this week, but last week I did put out my video. Well, go and watch my fucking videos because my last video is in the bottom 50%, and that is disappointing because it was a travel.
No, we need to fix that. We need to fix that.
Yeah, so the last video I put out, I pulled together some reflections and some footage I took from Bali when I was actually there for the Hindu New Year in 2018.
Incidentally, that's Lissy Lou's favourite video that you've done.
I was so excited to put it out, and I don't want to complain on stream, but yeah, I thought it would do better because it is literally a travel footage that I took. It's all my own footage, all my own work, and I'm planning on doing that as a series with at least 2 other places that I've been to. Unfortunately, it's all aspirational at the moment because we can't travel for goodness knows how long. But my next one, which I may put out this weekend, it depends. I've got a few things on this weekend. But the next one on the series will be in Phuket with the Vegetarian Festival. Now, that might sound a little bit boring, but the Vegetarian Festival, the part I'll be looking at is the idea that part of that festival is the people within the community will actually volunteer to be in the procession. And part of that procession is actually to pierce themselves with basically anything they can find, and it ranges from long needles that are like quite thick through to quite large like umbrella poles. We saw spears and stuff. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is very intense. They get into a religious trance. They will also walk down the street and they'll ignite firecrackers while they're wearing a bandolier around their neck. And the idea of that festival is that they're taking on the bad luck and the sins for the year, and that the farms and the community will actually be prosperous. So I'll be looking at that. Some amazing footage and sort of comparing it to the idea of sin and what do you call it? The idea of restitution and justice in Christianity. And, someone's got to pay. There must be blood. And being able to look at that idea in a different religion to help sort of, I guess the whole theme of those videos I'm doing are, Christianity claims to have unique ideas in terms of it's not faith, but it's not works, but faith, and God is loving, God is accepting. And I don't think they're actually that unique when it comes to religions around the world. And so, by highlighting some of these other cultures that have very similar ideas as part of their religion, I want to sort of look at, well, maybe these elements are actually human, not divine. So that's what's coming up on my channel. But yeah, Sunday, 8 o'clock on Vandalia's channel. There's a link on my Twitter at the moment. So make sure you hit the bell and subscribe and check it out.
And I did see Vandalia in the chat before, so if you're still there, hello. I think he said that, I think he was complaining that we need to start it earlier for him. So the only American, I think, who's wanting it started earlier.
Wait, Sam, is it 8 o'clock? It's not 8 o'clock my time, is it?
No, it's 8 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Good.
So plus 10 UTC.
Me, Chris and our show is on at 9 o'clock my time, so.
No. Well, this is 6:30 p.m. for you. Or
Okay.
6 p.m. for you. Yeah. Cool. So, Manda, am I shilling or are you shilling? Just
You shill. Go ahead.
All right. I'll shill later. Math Pig, what's going on with you, mate?
This Sunday I've got Brazen Atheist coming on. If any of us haven't seen her mainly on Twitter, she doesn't have a channel or anything, but she's written 3 books. She has a blog post, ex-stripper turned atheist evangelist or atheist activist, and yeah, it should be good fun. And I think I've got Sully coming on Wednesday, a person I met on Discord to discuss paganism. So that's what's coming up recently, coming up soon.
So, Nathaniel, Susan. What
was
is
that?
you've mentioned
Oh,
a
I
few.
think there's a woodpecker in that thing.
There's a woodpecker in.
I think there's a woodpecker in
Oh,
the
hang
chimney
on.
because I heard that the other day.
You've got to capture that. I've never seen a woodpecker, apart from
Because
really, they're
I
all
keep
over the place.
hearing
You
like
set up a camera, and you see them all day.
buzz, like vibrating in the chimney.
I think a bird stole your. Never mind. Go ahead.
You guys have mentioned a couple of things that are coming up on the channel, but
Go ahead. Dave.
what's coming up on the channel?
So we're gonna have a video coming out soon.
Yeah.
That's it's a response video. That we're working on. We're getting everything put together on that one, doing animations and stuff.
Waiting on some audio to come back.
We should have our show back
Wednesday.
this week.
Mhm.
Yeah, this Wednesday. Nathaniel's going to be talking with Spartan Theology on Monday.
Yeah.
What time
Spartan's
is that?
Oh,
good people.
Yeah. I'm talking about evolution, which is what I studied in college. I don't know.
5 o'clock our time?
Yeah,
8 o'clock Eastern,
some
something?
crazy thing. I don't know.
If I know.
He's
I don't
in
know.
Houston, so it's
Oh,
2 hour
so-
difference. So whenever Australia's asleep, I guess.
I don't know. They're upside down, so it's
That
fine.
one, yeah.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Australia's not real. I mean, the Earth's flat. Australia's not
Yeah.
real. So
That's
it
true.
doesn't matter.
That's true.
Susan was on. She was on In Time yesterday.
Yeah.
And also on Ask an Atheist with Friendly Neighborhood Atheist yesterday.
Mhm. We were both on that one.
Yep.
And we are in talks to. I'm probably going to be on Friendly Neighborhood Atheist again
Mhm.
relatively soon. They want to talk to me about the reproductive justice activism that they
Mhm.
do, and then we are tentatively starting like a monthly atheist roundtable thing with that channel with Friendly Neighborhood Atheists that we're going to do.
It was pretty nice.
as
They
well.
reached out and
So,
they reached out and asked us, and then we have doing the we're actually like reading the books and stuff. I have so many books, and I've read about 20% of each of them.
Yeah.
Right? I don't remember the last time I actually finished a book. And so us and Leah Kai, she's from the Raging Atheist channel.
The Rage is what it's called.
Yeah,
now.
I guess that's what it's
Yeah,
called.
The
It's all the rage these days. And we're going to be doing that. That was.
He's
that
so
was-
gonna steal
good.
that.
And we're going to be doing that, as well as something else. I'm going to be on with Duos Theology or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Keeps on want me to do philosophy stuff, and I'm like, look, man, I don't
We
deal
don't
with
do
bullshit.
philosophy.
Right? I deal with history, not this other nonsense that you know. So, but that's really what we do, and we do a bunch of guest appearances on a lot of stuff with Ocean Keltoy and Surus.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do my deconversion story on
Yeah,
Neil the
Neil.
604 Atheists channel. I
Hey,
thought it
wow,
was on
okay.
the 4th. I thought
Yeah.
it was on the 4th because I thought I scheduled it for Star Wars Day, but it might be on the 6th. I have to double check with him and see.
Yeah,
Mine is
and
on the 22nd. I think it's on the 20. Whatever Earth Day is my day. 'Cause climate
Nice.
change.
in April. Yeah, it makes
Nice.
sense. I don't think it's a. I mean, obviously on Twitter and stuff, I have
Yeah.
a lot of fun on Twitter.
Mhm.
And I was thinking there was something else, like I don't remember, but like
Wow.
folks have reached out to us a good bit. We've been really humbled by the amount of people that reached out to us and want to have conversations with us. And I think Amanda, I think we spoke as well. And I think you're supposed to. I think actually, yeah, man. We had a conversation about coming on our channel and stuff.
I want to start. I didn't think about this until just now, and I'm very sorry to sort of spring this on you. I kind of want to start doing after show hangouts for our shows too.
Okay. Be
I
fun.
just sprung that on him. So
They're
Yeah,
good
well,
fun.
some people-
They're
yeah.
definitely good fun.
Yeah, especially with, like the deep dives and stuff, because we go through a lot of information on those things, and so I think that'd be a lot of fun. But really, we just we've been really really blessed, I guess, to call it that. If the word you can use that.
fortunate.
Yeah, very fortunate with the amount of people
Ruined
who
it for
welcome
us.
No, you can be blessed. It's okay. It has a different meaning. And for that, and so thank you for having us to
Yeah.
come on here.
Thank you.
And
No, we've enjoyed it. I feel as though this could be. There's so many different things based on the conversation tonight. There's probably about 10 shows that potentially could happen here. So I think we'll have to keep in touch because, maybe even not on Six Pack, but sort of some I think there's some interesting conversations to be had, especially from a historical point of view.
That you want to talk about? I could show you Jesus existed. We can do that one.
I'd like to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I'd like to be in on that conversation.
Yeah,
You'll have
two
two non-hardline mythicists against you.
All right.
Even though we're not like against, we're just.
All right. I could be wrong.
On the fence.
We would like
I'm
to
on
see the
fence,
evidence.
but,
I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but I could be wrong.
you know the best thing? Whether we're right or wrong, it really doesn't matter.
Nope.
That's true.
As far as we know.
Zero difference. Zero difference. If he was
true.
there, he was there. If he wasn't, he wasn't. So, a few things coming up. The lockdown has made me slightly busy as well. So, first thing I'm going to do a quick plug for Amanda, because she doesn't like to plug her own stuff. But she has a climate change video coming out today if you're in the US, tomorrow if you're in the normal part of the world in Australia, which is on permafrost. So check out Amanda's channel for that one. On Sunday, 9 p.m. In the US, which I think worked out to be around about 11 a.m. on Monday for me. We've got R&Ra for the first Living Critically, that'll be a lot of fun. So on this channel, so tomorrow we've got the Flat Earth discussion. That's at 9:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard, which is 7:30 a.m. for those of you in Eastern time in the US. So that's 4:30. Sorry for those of you on the West Coast, but catch the replay. It'll be good. Come in late. It'll be fun. Time zones. Very, very fun thing. On Tuesday we've got midweek six. I haven't had that much to drink this week. Midweek 6-pack. So I'm just waiting to confirm.
Your problem, Chris.
I know. Just waiting to confirm the guest for that one. On Thursday, I'm actually interviewing Shannon Q. So that'll be a fun one to have a chat with Shannon. And then, of course, Friday night we've got Friday Night 6-pack. So it's all happening. Everyone, thank you so much for coming on. I know there's a lot of people who are in the chat who, and I say this every time, but have been here since the start, and 2 hours and 20 minutes of listening to my beautiful accent is punishment enough for anyone. So thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone who has come here. Obviously, Sam and Manda, always good to see you guys on. Math Pig, love you, mate.
Thank you very much for having me
tonight. And Nathaniel, Susan, we have to get you guys on again soon. Because this has been a real fun kind of chat, and there's a lot of different streams. There's the history, there's the religion, but then there's Star Wars.
Yes.
There's so much Star Wars.
You have Susan by herself with that.
Me and Amanda.
Yeah, keep bringing the small ones out. Don't make us all feel so small.
We're gonna tee that up. We'll call it the Jar Jar Binks Appreciation Club.
Wait. So I do this thing on my channel called TV Time every weekend, where we talk about a TV show. We did The Mandalorian this weekend with Mr. Bear Atheist and my son, and we had like a whole section of how do we kill fucking Jar Jar. It was awesome. Check it out. It was great. It's great.
If y'all still haven't done Parks and Rec, right?
No, we haven't done Parks.
Because you haven't watched it, right?
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen it. If you ever want to do Parks and Rec, I'll do it.
Text me. That's the thing is I bring atheist friends on, or atheist secular or whatever friends on, and we just have a fun stream about a show. Like we're doing our second episode of The Sopranos this weekend. Absolutely. I love Parks and Rec. Come on. Text me. We can totally do that.
I'm excited. And also about Jar Jar Binks. About Jar Jar Binks. So, yes. But
Darth Jar Jar.
Darth Jar Jar, the Sith. I was in a documentary about the prequels back in 2015 that it was filmed in 2015 that came out in 2016. That was basically another look, as you get older, looking at the prequels and how they fit into Star Wars canon. And I talked about nostalgia in Star Wars, and Star Wars as family and kids films and stuff like that. So I'm in that. It's called The Prequels Strike Back. Yeah. If y'all ever want to watch it, I do not know where to watch it.
I bet you, and my son would love to watch it too. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was I was born in '86. 7. I was 12 years old when Phantom Menace came out, and I grew up on the original trilogy, so I was the perfect age for it.
Yeah.
That pod racing scene, man. It's the
Oh.
only thing keeping me hanging on to that.
Yeah, this is
I
pod racing.
think I was 17 when was it 99, so I was 18 when the first or episode 1 came out. So yeah, definitely, absolutely, and yeah, just text me. We'll totally get this done. Absolutely.
I am excited.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Like I said, lots coming up this week. Keep an eye. All the links are down below. If you haven't subscribed to Divine Disbelief, do it. Like seriously, do it. In fact, do it now.
Do it now.
The link's down there. Just do it now. Everyone should be subscribed to Sam by now because, like, if you're not, you are missing out. I mean, if you haven't seen Sam's Christian rap,
Oh my god,
subscribe for that alone.
it is so okay. Seriously, Christian rap
It
is
is good.
and everything, but it is so fucking good. It is.
It's a good Christian
Good.
rap. It's yeah.
Really
we
is.
didn't position ourselves as Christian rap. We were Christians who happen to rap, which is why
Oh, but there was God talk in there. There was God talk.
Yeah, I know. But
It's so
in the
awesome.
same way that your normal everyday experiences influence any form of lyricism.
No,
Yeah.
I did a deep dive on the Christian music industry like a couple months ago. So.
Toby Mac.
Hey! DC talk, come on.
Yeah,
And
I was
the
drunk.
crew are just like they are actually talented artists. They really are. Like you can't really you hear the God stuff a little bit in it, but like seriously, he's fucking amazing.
Well, I remember my church had 3
Queen.
finalists in one season of Australian Idol,
Wow.
and that was
Wow.
one church. So it was, yeah, that was a big year. But and I still know them all too. But only one of them really went on to do anything, mind you. But yeah, it's still there. Sorry if they're watching. I'm sure they're not. Yeah, Christian music is talented. MathPig. Most people should be subscribed to MathPig because
Absolutely.
I would like to hope so.
and does awesome things. Mama Atheist, are you what at 40,000 subs now, or
Something like that. No.
End of the
I
week,
don't know
maybe.
what I
End of
am,
the week.
but-
it's seriously
We got
Mama
like
Atheist for some
300.
really good science content, very chilled out, kind of easily explained, but from a very intelligent place. Go on sub to Mama Atheist. Plus, you get to see a little bit more of me. So, yeah, that's
Yep.
probably
It's
about, I've just cost you subs there, actually. So,
No, fuck
but I
no.
guess if people are here anyway, you never know. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thank you to everyone in the future who is watching. And I'll end the stream there, and everyone have a good one. Actually, I'll let you. Do you need to run anything here, Matthew? Or
I just, as soon as you said you were going to end it, I've already hit the end scene and we're still talking.
There it
Yeah,
went.
nobody saw that.
Yeah.
great. So we're safe now. We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.